we're getting ready for Graham Rahal, guys. We've got a bunch of them coming in right here. The big key right now getting in and out because, as you said, those guys that came in earlier were able to pick up a bunch of positions. As we get the leaders going by us right now, we'll send it down to Nick Yeoman in a second as Will Power gets set to come right in. Graham Rahal diving into his pits right now. He goes from red, so his fresh set of blacks. Looks like a good stop for Rahal. Let's go down to Nick Yeoman.
Yeah, it's Will Power who gave up the lead. He received first off of pit lane. Ryan Hunter-Reay a second. Well, right at pit exit, Marco Andretti drove up the racetrack right into the side of Sebastian Bourdais. There is debris littered all over pit exit. Sebastian Bourdais upset.
Back to green flag racing, side by side, across the start finish line. Jake Query, they head to UNY.
Alex Tagliani had a podium here in 2006, but right now he's going to lose the lead to Ryan Briscoe. Briscoe to the inside of the 77 through 1.
Holy cow, Davey. Everybody attacking as Ryan Briscoe makes the move underneath, but we've got 10, 12 cars right there in the bunch. Ryan Hunter-Reay grabs P2 from Alex Tagliani. He got to the inside, coming down Seaside Way, climbed on the binders a little later. And how about turn number 1, Jake Query?
Will Power has moved past Alex Tagliani, so Will Power now sets his sights. Ryan Briscoe, though, building himself a healthy lead out front.
The Verizon IndyCar Series on IndyCar Radio.
Battery Tender Global MX5 Cup, second half of the doubleheader weekend. Welcome to Portland International Raceway. I'm Mark James, happy to be joined by Nick Yeoman. And race number 1, not for the faint of heart, most assuredly. Plenty of carnage early on, given the tight confines at the first turn of this racetrack, that very tight 1, 2, 3 portion, and a lot of heavy hitters damaged yesterday, knocked out of contention early, and Nick Yeoman, after the dust had settled, and Luke Oxner, clearly the class of yesterday's field, getting his first career win.
Yeah, 2 big stories that we were left with yesterday. The first being at the beginning of the race, how disjointed it was, a lot of carnage, a lot of torn up race cars, but ultimately ending on a very high note to see Luke Oxner score his very first win in the Battery Tender Global MX5 Cup presented by BF Goodrich Tires. Fantastic battle in the final couple laps as the rookie Celine Roland, who's already been to victory lane once this year, trying to grab his second career win and catch Luke Oxner. Couldn't get it done. Oxner wins by 0.6 of a second. And then also, Mark, behind those front 2, we saw a really spirited battle from third on back as Robert Stout, who is right there in contention to win this championship, he gets the third step on the podium. Points leader Nico Rieger does a fantastic job coming from a mid-pack starting position to end up fourth. And then Zach Lee, one of the drivers in the Masters class, came home with a 5th position. So really spirited race. We got our fingers crossed, hoping it's a little bit bit more clean, just for the sakes of these teams and drivers that overnight, a lot of them were busy putting these race cars back together. We're hoping for a much cleaner race today, Mark, but certainly if it's as competitive as we saw yesterday, we should be in store for a good show.
8 cars involved in incidents. Ashton Harrison, Hernan Palermo, Todd Lamb, Austin Allison, Michael Dinan, Robert Noaker, Joey Bickers, Nathaniel Sparks, Drake Kemper, all involved in an incident in one form or another. The biggest loser, I think, Joey Bickers, because he's not on the grid today.
Yep, Bickers was supposed to start second today. He'll be the only one of the 26 cars this weekend that will not answer the bell and race today. So that moves Zach Lee onto the front row alongside the winner from yesterday, Luke Oxner. Nathaniel Sparks looking for a little redemption. He got wrecked out of the lead by Bickers yesterday. They got that car repaired. He'll start in the third spot. Todd Lamb looking for some redemption as he was wrecked out early. And then our points leader, Nico Rieger, right alongside Robert Stout in row 3. A lot of heavy hitters, a lot of experience, a lot of race wins, Mark, in the first 3 rows. As the cars pulling out of the racetrack, those joining us online, getting a look at the rest of the starters here in Portland.
Tony Laporta for the Mazda Road to Indy joins us. And Tony, we speculated that the body fabricators might be a little busy after the race yesterday. Sadly, no truer words were spoken. Been a long night for some of those teams.
Absolutely. And just a quick note on something you mentioned, Nick. You talked about Joey Bickers not making the race. Actually, unfortunately, it's 2 cars who will not be starting the race today. Todd Lamb, driver number 84, that Masters class driver. Too much damage to his car. And it is important to mention, just for sake of discussion, that Joey Bickers won't be making this race, not due to mechanical issues. Bickers electively making the decision not to start today's race. Again, I haven't had the chance to talk with him, but it was of his own accord not to make the race. But when you talk about bodywork, a lot of cars from Six Sideways Racing were torn up. That team was here until over midnight last night doing repairs to both chassis and bodies. So a lot of work and a lot of damage from yesterday's first race of the weekend.
It's going to be interesting to see how much grip there is in that racetrack this morning, Nick, given the fact that this is a very, very early start as they come off of that final turn number 12 and head toward the green flag now as we're ready to get this race underway.
Yeah, very cool temperatures as we will see the green flag and go racing for race number 2, round 10 here in the Battery Tender Global MX-5 Cup. It's Luke Oxner who gets the jump. Immediately, Nathaniel Sparks pulls to the inside. Sparky's going to look for the lead, and Mark, it looks like he may have it as they barrel into turn number 1.
Oxner's going to have trouble hanging on to second place. Matter of fact, he's going to fall to 4th. There's a couple of cars jump him in line as they set up for 2 and 3. So bump Sparks up to P2. As a pretty solid move going into that 1-2-3 complex.
And it looks like Celine Roland picked his way through the beating and banging through turns 1 and 2 to grab the second spot. Good news is it looks like all 24 cars made their way through the first couple corners, something we couldn't say yesterday. Oxner has settled into the 3rd spot. Further back, Mark, lots of cars going side by side, but it's Sparks and Roland running 1-2 through turn 7.
And Celine Roland looks like he has a very fast race car very early on. Now they're setting up for that bending back straightaway, turn number 8. We saw a couple of guys get some pretty good runs down that bending straightaway yesterday. Roland has a really nice run, and about 100 yards or so shy of that turn is when they typically jump out of line. We'll see if Roland does it. Oxner and the rest of the field trying to keep pace. But for now, it looks like Roland's going to be content off of turn number 11 to settle for second place.
Yeah, looking a little bit further back, there's some of the drivers that got caught up in accidents yesterday. Austin Allison and that pink car, Ashton Harrison in the red car with the pink cage. Both of those cars had to be repaired overnight, so good to see them racing there in the top 15 as Nathaniel Sparks leads lap number 1 here at Portland.
Handling things on pit road as he did yesterday afternoon. Let's check in with Jake. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Mark. Michael Dinan is one that we talked to yesterday after the outset of this race. He was part of the collection, if you will, on lap number 1. Now, as it stands, you guys had talked about the ability of these teams to get the bodies repaired to these machines. That was the case with Michael Dinan. It was front right damage for him. However, he has yet to go out in the course of this race because they are still checking the balance in the underbody and the rear of the race car. So some of that, of course, just took place in terms of getting out, and then he pulled it back in before the green flag. Obviously wanted to get a chance to find out the feel of that race car. They're still checking the balance on the rear. The right rear is off. So car number 69 of Michael Dinan sits here on pit road as the rest of the field has gotten underway here at Portland.
Suddenly, the 77 of Luke Oxner is starting to find some pace again, but back up front, Nathaniel Sparks. He sees Celine Roland to his high side. Thought he might do this last time by Nick Yeoman, but he was patient, bided his time, and now he's gone to P1 talking about Celine Roland.
Yeah, boy, he got a really, really nice jump down the back straightaway and was able to pull off that pass. So the front three get out of turn number 12 first. It's Roland who will lead lap number 2, Sparks back to second, and then Luke Oxner, who has crept into this battle as well as they run single file down the front straightaway to complete lap number 2. Does Sparks want to entertain going back to the lead? He got right on that rear bumper of Roland, but he'll tuck back behind that 87 machine as they make their way through turns 1 and 2. Oxner's right there, and Mark, those front three couldn't get away as Nico Riegers led a train of 4, 5, maybe 6 cars right into the hunt as we got an 8-car breakaway into turn 4.
Roland, Sparks, Oxner, Rieger, and Stout the top 5. Kemper, Lee, Henderson, Schmidt, and Allison the top 10. Tony, how important is this race in terms of Nathaniel Sparks' championship hopes? Took a big hit yesterday by finishing 19th. He needs at the very least a podium finish.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I know this is cliche, and you might smack me for saying something this simple, but every race in the Battery Tender Global MX-5 Cup is critical towards the championship when the finishes are as close as they are, and anybody inside the top 10 can really ultimately win these races when it gets right down to it. So, yeah, Sparky needs to have a good run here today. After that DNF he picked up yesterday, resulting from a very hard crash with Joey Bickers down in turn number 1. Sparky needs this to keep his championship hopes alive. But, guys, I got to tell you something. I don't know how much time you guys are so busy with IndyCar and the road to Indy. You probably don't get much time to spend talking to these MX-5 Cup drivers. Nathaniel Sparks is just one of the most genuinely nice and straight-up guys I've ever met. Talked to him on pre-grid today before we rolled out about 45 minutes ago. I said, what happened with Joey? Can you explain it to me? He gave me an amazing explanation of how the wreck happened and ultimately how it wasn't even Joey Bickers' fault. So it was a really interesting discussion with Nathaniel Sparks. He needs this race. You're exactly right. He needs a podium to get out of here and head to New York with a fight to still win the championship when this thing's all said and done.
I get the sense that paddock wide, while they want to beat one another once they climb in the race car and the green flag flies, I get the sense that that's a pretty tight fraternity when they're in the paddock.
It really is. Honestly, guys, the MX-5 Cup racers and the teams to that point also, they're racers. Don't mistake that for a moment, but they're friends. The banquet at the end of each year is one of the most fun things I get to hold a microphone all season long because they genuinely just enjoy being around each other, whether in race cars, in the paddock, or in a banquet hall celebrating a year of racing. So this MX-5 Cup racing, it's a lot of fun to watch, but man, it's even more fun and more enjoyable to get to know these drivers and teams. There's great racing on the track right now. Celine Roland out in front, but again, guys, we saw him make a lot of moves yesterday to score his first one ever. Keep an eye on the number 77 of White Racing, Luke Oxner. He's already kind of poking around Nathaniel Sparks trying to make something happen here.
Jake Query, a much cleaner start today. We're about 7 minutes in, and we're poised for a great finish today.
A cleaner start not only from the drivers, but from Mother Nature as well. And by that, Mark, let me explain. We obviously did not see any precipitation yesterday or over the course of the weekend here in Portland. However, it is not obviously atypical out here in the Pacific Northwest for the morning to start under overcast skies, and that was the case certainly on Friday and for a great deal again yesterday. Now today it's not the situation. The temperature so far this morning, not yet at 60 degrees. 59 degrees is the ambient temperature. The track temperature, on the other hand, in the low 90s, the same as it was for the start of the race yesterday. That's because that cloud cover that was fairly ubiquitous here yesterday until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon already is almost completely gone, and this track is underneath completely gorgeous and sun-drenched skies. So the track temperature pretty similar to what they saw yesterday, as of course now they get that familiar Goodrich rubber laid back down for these cars.
Sparks has plenty of company. Nico Rieger, Robert Stout, and Drake Kemper among those, Nick, trying to get up to the top 3.
Yeah, this is pretty impressive early on. It's kind of a 9-car breakaway. That 9th car in line, Brian Henderson, kind of in danger of losing that pack. But certainly those 9 have separated themselves from the rest of the field. The one I've kind of kept an eye on, Mark, maybe off-screen, but in timing and scoring, is Brian Ortiz, who started dead last in the field, 24th today, and in just just a handful of laps, he's already got himself up into the 10th position. But you're right, the action up front is absolutely fantastic. As Sparks and Roland go side by side into turn number 9, Sparks going to grab that top spot.
And much like yesterday, Oxner is lying in wait, and he is watching those guys mix it up behind him. Nico Rieger is also the interested spectator in that 4th position. So Oxner, yesterday's winner, is right where he was. It was about this time yesterday he started to make moves. But back to Ortiz, awfully fast yesterday, Nick. You remember he was a lap down, but he ran with the leaders the last 15 laps of the race.
And he's going to have to try to run down this lead group. Meanwhile, good battle for second as Oxner pops to the outside, goes door to door with Celine Roland. He'll put the right sides off the racetrack, up and over the curbing, kick up a little dust. He's got Nico Rieger in that black and green 01 car right up behind the rear bumper. We'll see if he can push him to second. That's allowed the leader mark of Nathaniel Sparks to gap these guys by 3 or 4 car lengths. Roland, though, will hold on to that second spot.
We have seen Luke Oxner over the course of the season gain confidence. And, Tony, let's face it, you've seen it all the way back to your karting days. Once a guy gets that first win, it's a tremendous boost of confidence, and he becomes a regular contender.
Oh, Mark, you hit the nail on the head there when you talk about confidence gained from a first-time win in any series, whatever it may be, single speed, shifter carts, all the way up to MX5 Cup racing sanctioned by IndyCar. When you win, you prove not only to your competition, but more importantly, I think you prove to yourself that you belong and you can go out there and do this. And in a series like MX5 Cup racing, guys, where everything is so truly equal, and it's a driver's series, as I like to call it, when Luke Oxner scored that win yesterday, he proved to himself, most importantly, that he belongs here and can do it. And you see it right now. It's a spirited drive that he's having right now in race number 2 of the weekend. He's hanging right on Celine Roland's bumper. And a note on that fight for the lead, Nathaniel Sparks, he's kind of like what I'd like to call maybe the cagey veteran. Celine Roland, Rookie of the Year. Luke Oxner, he's about second, third-year racer. And all 3 of these drivers, you couldn't tell. If you took the numbers off, you wouldn't know who's who, because they're all driving a heads-up race. And most importantly, guys, they're respecting each other really well getting through that festival turn right there, the chicane 1, 2, and 3. Guys are making attempts at passes, but they're giving each other room. And this race 2 of the weekend is going a lot better than race number 1. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Oxner made that wide entrance into turn number 1, Nick. That did cost him a little momentum. It allowed Rieger to catch up to him, as we see Jensen has spun out of that 53 car. And we think it'll be a local caution for now while the leaders set sail and continue to battle it out. Sparks, Roland, Oxner, Rieger, and Kemper. But we'll keep an eye on that 53 of Jensen that spun out in turn number 3.
Yep, had that car pointed in the wrong direction. Looked like he had the steering wheel turned, and he did get that machine refired. So we will stay green here at Portland International, and we'll take a look at the replay of what might have happened to Keith Jensen. See a lot of dirt kicked up. He just runs a little wide, and Mark, when you get all 4 tires off the racetrack, we've seen him put 2 off and be just fine. When you get all 4, you're usually along for the ride.
Yeah, pretty good save. He was able to avoid that wall to driver's ride and spun it around and got it back underway. A local caution only, which allows this great racing to continue as they come off of turn number 12. Watching Oxner wear out Celine Roland 2 laps ago. If you have access to the monitor or you're watching us online, you noticed that Roland didn't give him a lot of room between 2 and 3. But a lot of confidence there on his part to be able to hold it as he shoved him off the racetrack and hold on to that 3rd position with Nico Rieger breathing right down his neck.
Yeah, pretty impressed with Rieger, the championship leader coming into this weekend, doing a good job holding down that 4th spot. We see Robert Stout and Zach Lee going side by side as the front 5 break away just a little bit, so that's a good battle for 6th. And Mark, don't look now, but back there in 10th, slowly but surely, Brian Ortiz is catching this lead pack. I think he might be a factor as we see that white and green and black car kind of creep towards Jesse Schmidt, who's running in the 9th spot.
Well, bottom line is he knows he has a fast race car. Yeah. Certainly did yesterday, as we mentioned again. He was caught up in that cartage early, got a lap down, but ran among the front runners. Fortunately, he was not a factor in the finish, but he was right there with him. Great pace. He's had great pace all year long. As a matter of fact, you know, he came in just 13 points back in the battle for the championship as Roland and Oxner look like they want to take a run at the leader. Sparks as they head for turn number 9.
Yeah, those front 3 picked 3 different lanes heading down to turn number 9. But boy, it gets so tight through that part of the racetrack. You can make passes down there, but you usually can't stay side by side for very long. And this early in this race, 11 minutes in, 33 and a half to go, they all thought better of going side by side. So they get back to single file across the line. Another lap led by Nathaniel Sparks as Celine Roland There's a little drafting. That's always cool, Mark, in this series, a little bump drafting. We don't get to see that with our open wheel background, but certainly these drivers can use those front and rear bumpers to gain some speeds. 2 pretty long straightaways here at Portland where you can really roar through the RPMs.
Tony, tell us a bit about fifth place running Drake Kemper. It's really the first time we've seen him in the top 5 this season, that 99 car.
Yeah, Drake Kemper's an MX5 Cup racer from just a few years back. He's a Mazda scholarship driver. We've seen him win on the series before. Last time I can remember seeing him race in an event that I called would have been at the season finale back at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Now, of course, WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. But he made the one-off last year. He came out to Laguna Seca and ran that season finale with us. But Drake's a guy that knows how to get around the track in these MX5 Cup cars. It's good to see him running so well right now. Yeah, you give him a shot, Mark, in that number 99 car, driving 5th place currently. But yeah, Drake Kemper, a guy that is a proven winner here in the series, but just hasn't been able to commit to a full schedule lately. But it's good to see him here on the West Coast. Again, if you remember, Laguna Seca, just down there in Central California. So obviously the West Coast races play a little bit more to his availability. So Kemper trying to get out of here with the top 5, heck, maybe even a podium, but he's going to have to drive through a lot of dirt and dust, it looks like, if he wants to stand on the podium before this one's over.
They are dirtying that racetrack up plenty for sure, Nick Yeoman, talking about the top 5. Sparks, Roland, Oxner, Rieger, and Kemper. The top 5 continue to slug it out. And it looks like, Nick, that bending back stretch and also the front straightaway, the places where most of the activity, most of the passing zones are.
Yeah, here comes Nico Rieger as he'll use that front stretch to his advantage to roar by Luke Oxner to grab that spot. Kemper puts the right side tires in the dirt as he tries to hold on to that 5th spot over Zach Lee as those front 9 make their way through turn number 4. Ortiz starting to creep into the mix as well, but the pace has been pretty solid for Nathaniel Sparks, who again, Tony, trying to overcome an accident yesterday where he got run into by Joey Bickers down in turn number 1.
Yeah, and it's an interesting note that it takes a moment to explain, so we're going to do our best to keep an eye on the racing here, but I spent some time in pre-grid as Sparks drops the left sides off hardcore, getting down onto the back straightaway, kicks up some dust. The 6 sideways cars of Sparks and Roland leading the field right now. But I want to bring this up, Nick, if I can, for a moment. We'll get back if something happens on track. But in discussing with Nathaniel Sparks the incident yesterday between he and Joey Bickers, and folks who tuned into the race yesterday remember it quite well. Folks that were here at PIR remember it probably pretty well from seeing it on the Jumbotrons. But Joey Bickers makes a really late attempt at getting the lead away from Nathaniel Sparks down into that right-hander, the beginning of the festival turn, down in turn number 1. Well, I spoke to Nathaniel Sparks before the race began today, and I said, what happened? What do you think Joey was thinking? Which, of course, is a pretty deadly question to ask one driver what another was thinking. But he said, I think he got ice pedaled. And I said, what do you mean by that? He goes, remember, these are roadsters. These are street cars, these MX5 Cup cars. They weren't born as race cars. They were born as street cars. And what does that mean? Well, ABS is put in them. So he explained it to me as this. When Joey Bickers made that quick lane change and threw the car to the right, all the weight came off the left front of that car, and there was no weight on the left rear of the car. So when he went to slam down the brake pedal, the ABS systems inside these MX-5 street cars kicked in. It thought the car was on ice. So as we all know, when you're driving on ice, you go for that brake pedal, ABS kicks in, and it keeps you from pressing the brake pedal all the way down, locking your tires. So that's apparently a very common problem in these MX-5 cars. And Nathaniel Sparks, who I mentioned yesterday, I think has to be, technically speaking, one of the smartest guys out on the track. He acknowledged that's probably what happened to Joey Bickers. He threw the car to the right, made a quick lane change. The chassis and body roll took all the weight off the left front, left rear of that car. He went for the brake pedal. The computer freaked out, and it didn't give him almost any brake pedal at all. 2 seconds go by, and by that time, it was way too late. And Nathaniel Sparks thinks that's really what caused the accident. Yes, he admits Joey Bickers was being a little advantageous, as it were, getting into that corner, but he chalks up a lot of the results of that accident to the ABS systems in these cars, and that's just something that I didn't even know until an hour ago. And I think it's very important that these folks understand, whether it's IndyCar or Road Indy, those are bona fide, legitimate, built to be race cars. These MX-5 Cup cars are still street cars when they come out of the factory, so they have ABS and computer systems and fail-safes in them, and that was an interesting reason Nathaniel Sparks chalked up to Joey Bickers getting into him yesterday in race number 1.
That's just fantastic insight, and certainly, as you mentioned, Nathaniel Sparks is a veteran of this series. He knows those cars inside and out, and certainly he's probably been in a very similar situation to Joey Bickers where that's happened. So glad to see that Nathaniel Sparks got that car repaired, and certainly look forward to seeing Joey Bickers race more often in the Battery Tender Global MX-5 Cup. Up front, Mark Mark Janes, front two starting to break away just a little bit as Sparks and Roland continue to lay down some awful quick laps here in Portland.
And you were keeping your eye on Brian Ortiz throughout the course of this race. He's up to ninth. He's kind of held serve there in the ninth position the last couple of laps, but he just set fast lap of the race. So as the race continues, he's continuing to find pace. Meanwhile, Luke Oxner wants to get back up to the top three, and he's going to try to dispatch of the 0-1 of Nico Rieger in the process of doing so. Not going to be able to make the pass, though, as they've set up for the final. Oh, yes, he did. Yeah. He did make the pass in preparation for the final series of turns. So now he'll set his sights again on the front two in Sparks and Roland.
He stays side by side super late into that corner. That tells you just how confident Luke Oxner is, not only with his race car, but with this racetrack. And speaking of being comfortable, how about Celine Roland? What a charge down the front straightaway as he easily moves past Nathaniel Sparks. New leader here at Portland as Roland in that Soul Red Mazda MX-5 goes back to the point, kicking Nathaniel Sparks back to second. But you mentioned it. Oxner's been strong. Roland's been strong. Those were the two drivers yesterday, Mark, that finished 1-2. No surprise here with 27 minutes left in this event to see both of those drivers making moves, charging to the front.
Tony, you know what was almost as enjoyable as watching Roland get that win at COTA earlier this year was the response of his father. I mean, that was a proud moment for his dad.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Guys, all I can compare it to is what you need to understand about Celine Roland is he doesn't come from a karting or much of a really wheel-to-wheel competition. So imagine this. Imagine you're a young go-karter's dad, and you guys have been racing maybe a few weeks, and then all of a sudden you win your first race. Now, just magnify that to being at America's most recently built F1 circuit. You're out in Austin, Texas. You're thousands of miles from home, and you're doing it in front of IndyCar and PWC fans. So for them to win that race in that fashion in only his second time out in an MX-5 Cup car, with the support of the folks at Mazda, the support of the Prelix at Battery Tender, the support of the folks at BF Goodrich, his dad was besides himself. His whole family was. The whole Six Sideways team was. That's what's really cool. And on the note of Celine Roland, guys, if I can, just so folks here at PIR understand, the reason that car is painted the Soul Red, that really sharp-looking red color that it isn't a team decision, and it isn't the team colors or Celine's favorite color. That's the Mazda Soul Red. That means that Celine is a Mazda scholarship driver, and that Soul Red body on his car is how folks around the track and we here in the booth can denote that he is a scholarship driver. And Mazda, as you guys know through the Mazda Road to Indy, and hopefully folks here at PIR have learned throughout the weekend, Mazda is all about creating the future stars of whether it be IndyCar racing or sports car racing. Here in the Mazda Road to 24 Battery Tender Global MX-5 Cup, scholarships are what it's all about. The champion of this season, which will be decided in 1 month in Monticello, New York, that champion is going to receive, a cool trophy, but also a $200,000 scholarship check from Mazda. And that scholarship, as it were, can be applied towards a sports car racing venture in 2019. Of course, Patrick Gallagher, the champion from last year, is racing in IMSA competition this year. And of course, there's the $50,000 scholarship check that goes to the Rookie of the Year. So Mazda is all about rewarding winning and growing the future of American open wheel and sports car racing.
Thought about going 3 wide into that final series of turns, but cooler heads prevailed, and it stays Roland, Sparks, and Oxner. But Nick, now suddenly the rest of the field has started to catch up. Rieger, Lee, Stout, Henderson, Schmidt, even Ortiz. That's a long line of cars now headed toward turn number 1.
Well, Nathaniel Sparks kind of mirrors Celine Roland down into turn number 1. Gave him a good little shot, it looked like, as that 87 machine got a little loose. Roland's able to hold on to the lead. But, of course, Mark, this is round number 10 of a 12-race championship, so we're always watching those points. How big was the pass by Roland to take the lead, and Oxner's pass to kick Rieger back to fourth? As they run right now, Rieger's lead over Roland in the championship standings just 2 points. So it is awful tight in this MX-5 championship as they snake their way around turns 5 and 6.
I don't know if it's a driver preference thing or maybe it's an anticipation thing that we saw yesterday, but you notice Oxner among the front three, every time they come down that straightaway and start to set up for one, he's the guy that swings it wide. And I got a sneaking suspicion, Nick, he's anticipating some trouble if guys get side by side to the bottom of the racetrack, and he feels like taking that high entry into that turn is the best way to avoid the carnage. I know it worked well for him yesterday as he bumps out of line now headed down that backstretch.
Yeah, he has loved entertaining getting alongside of drivers heading down into turn number 9. Doug's back in line behind Nathaniel Sparks there as they make their way to the corner as Brian Henderson goes really wide. That allows Ortiz to slip around and grab another spot. That was quite a ride for Mr. Henderson, as it looks like he may lose another spot to Jesse Schmidt.
Yeah, formula drifting not effective on dirt. Not nearly as effective as it is on pavement, for sure.
Here comes Ortiz. Might get another one as he jumps to the inside of Robert Stout. Ortiz trying to get that spot into turn number 1. He will, so move Brian Ortiz, Mark, up to the 6th position after starting shotgun on the field today.
Yeah, that's a fast race car for sure. And as we mentioned, Brian Ortiz awfully fast yesterday. The front 5 starting to break away a bit now, though. Roland, Sparks, Oxner, Rieger, and Lee. Let's talk about 6 Sideways Racing, the owners of that car that's piloted by Nathaniel Sparks. And Tony, I think if it has wheels and a motor, they can build it for you, can they not?
Oh, man, you're not kidding there. Those guys at 6 Sideways Racing really know what they're doing. And unfortunately, I haven't seen John Dean II here this week. And if you guys remember, I was able to sit in with y'all in Mid-Ohio, and John Dean was involved in that. Thankfully, not a hard crash, but a pretty hard off after contact between he and Robert Stout going down the back straightaway sent him sliding through the grass to driver's right-hand side at Mid-Ohio last month. So, yeah, the guys at 6 Sideways Racing, not only can they build, Mark, anything that has wheels or a motor, they can repair anything that has wheels and a motor. Again, I got to remind you, up till midnight last night, repairing the team cars, Robert Noaker, Ashton Harrison, Nathaniel Sparks, just to name a few, those were the drivers that were involved in the early race incidences that we saw yesterday, and that crew just doesn't stop. And it's not just the crew, it's the drivers, it's the parents, it's the families, the friends, the boyfriends, and the girlfriends that are there with that 6 Sideways team working to make sure those cars are back out on track. It's important to remember, after all the carnage we saw yesterday, only 2 cars aren't in the field today. One of them being Todd Lamb. That was just because they couldn't get the car returned mechanically, and the other one is Joey Bickers, who, after his contact with Nathaniel Sparks, electively decided to remove himself from the race.
I think the thing that I found most interesting about the start of that race yesterday, Nick, is the front runners that we saw fall by the wayside. Points contenders had difficult days yesterday.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Certainly Todd Lamb was a guy that came into this weekend 9th in points, maybe a little too far out to be a contender, but Robert Noaker had such a good run, picking up his first career win at Mid-Ohio. He ended up with a torn-up race car. Nathaniel Sparks entered this weekend in the top 5, just 21 points out. He took a big hit yesterday by finishing 19th. So a lot of guys looking for big bounce-back days. Brian Ortiz is another one that finished 16th yesterday, 1 lap down, who's right in the championship hunt as well. So a lot of guys trying to bounce back today. And, boy, there's Luke Oxner again taking a look to the inside of Nathaniel Sparks through turn number 9. Can't get the pass done. But what I really like is Celine Roland kind of moving around the racetrack, finding spots where he's fast and he can defend. He kicks up a lot of dirt there, though, at the exit of turn number 12.
About 20 minutes remaining in this race. Roland, Sparks, Oxner, Rieger lead the top 5. Ortiz holding steady at 6th. Stout, Schmidt, Henderson, Hernan Palermo, the top 10. We go back to pit road and check in with Jake Query.
And just outside of that top 10, Mark, is indeed that young man, Robert Noaker, as we see things get very, very tight there out on track. Let's talk about Noaker yesterday. He was nearly inconsolable when he got out of his car after that incident on lap number 1 that knocked him out of the race itself. Of course, keep in mind he won at Mid-Ohio, the young man who actually this week his class at school returned on Friday back to the school for the school year. He's missing, of course, that day in order to be able to come here and race. But he was very despondent yesterday after the incident that knocked him out of the race. Great job by his team to get the front right of that car fixed. And Robert Noaker now finds himself trying to get himself in position here to get a top 10 here in race number 2.
Tony, from what I understand, we have some very interested spectators today from Mazda joining us for the race.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And this is just so much fun, this racing, to call and work with you guys. And I enjoy so much getting to be in here in the IndyCar Radio Network booth. But back at the first race of the season when I was calling it over the house PA at Circuit of the Americas, I was very lucky to have a guest commentator in the booth with me, Miss Sarah Montgomery. She is a racer in the series. She hasn't been able to commit to a full season this year, and it's really unfortunate. She brings and adds a lot to the series. She's at home right now watching. Her, Thomas Bernacki, so many YouTube viewers tuning in to watch this. We'd really like to thank all of them who are watching on the live stream right now, as well as all of the Mazda dealerships. This broadcast, you guys, is getting pumped in to the Mazda dealerships all around the country. We, of course, can't go racing literally without Mazda dealerships here in the MX-5 Cup category, because if it weren't for Mazda dealerships, there wouldn't be MX-5 street cars. So to everybody at Mazda, not just the executives here at the track taking in the racing in person, but to all of the supporters around the world and around the country watching live on YouTube, I have to say a personal thanks. It's an emotional weekend here at Portland for the folks at Mazda, but when we have great racing like this, an MX-5 Cup, it makes it a little bit easier.
Nathaniel Sparks just turned his fastest lap of this race as he runs P1 here at Portland International Raceway with just 18 minutes to go in round number 10 of the Battery Tender Global MX-5 Cup presented by BF Goodrich Tires. Celine Roland's got that second spot held down. Luke Oxner runs in third. Nico Rieger is fourth. Fifth is Zach Lee. Sixth is Brian Ortiz. As those front six marks starting to separate themselves a little bit. And here comes Ortiz with a nice run to the inside of Lee.
Yep, he wants that fifth spot, and it looks like that he's going to grab a hold of it now as they set up for turn number 9. There's just not a lot of room to the bottom side. That's a pretty gutsy move for sure.
No, it really is. And Ortiz not done. Look at the run he'll get out of turn number 12 as he is bearing down on the rear bumper of our points leader, Nico Rieger. What an incredible charge for Brian Ortiz. And he can come all the way to the front because he started last. And we've got problems. Jesse Schmidt looks like he has sustained some pretty heavy damage out of turn number 12 as that car got sideways. No, it's Robert Stout who got sideways.
Oh,
and boy, Jesse Schmidt got up and into the air. Heavy contact there, Mark, in turn 12 between Robert Stout and Jesse Schmidt.
Yeah, but it's a tough second half of the season for Robert Stout. I mean, he was a guy that was a contender in the first half of the season for sure, and we're seeing that number 9 of Jesse Schmidt, and I think it's accurate to say that it's limping down pit road. Nick Yeoman, plenty of damage on that race car.
And it looked like Robert Stout also went to pit lane. Jake Query, a couple wounded race cars in front of you right now.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, this might have come at the point in the race where it could become terminal because Robert Stout has brought his car in and they are taking a look. It's, again, two different scenarios here. In the course of Robert Stout, the damage is on the rear, the right rear, and that tire has gone completely, on Jesse Schmidt, it's the right rear. On Robert Stout, it's the front right. But I think it's going to be very difficult as they take a look now on this into pit road Jesse Schmidt's car. They're going to, as a matter of fact, it looks like he's getting out. We'll try to get a word with him, guys, but I think when you talk about the fact that we're essentially in the final third of this race, this is going to be probably too long for either of them to be able to get repairs and get back out.
Celine Roland is not done. He is all over Nathaniel Sparks as they head down the straightaway. Nick set up for turn number 1, but Roland can't relax because Oxner's right there as well.
Luke Oxner's just been all over this racetrack trying to grab that second spot away from Celine Roland, and there's Brian Ortiz into the fourth spot. He got around Nico Rieger, so now he sets his sights on Oxner. But boy, Oxner's been, again, moving all over the racetrack to try to get to second around Celine Roland. Roland's been a tough guy to pass. Meanwhile, Mark, how about Zach Lee pinning that car to the outside in that white 48 trying to get around Rieger?
I think Ortiz might win this race, Nick.
I think that's a good bet.
He might win this race. I mean, as fast as that race car is, I mean, think about what he has done in terms of where he started 25th. So of the 134 total passes we have, I think he has about 117 of them.
And you know who's going to fire that? All the viewers that we have in Puerto Rico that are watching, that are cheering on Brian Ortiz. We thank them for tuning in to round number 10 of the Battery Tender Global MX-5 Cup. Certainly cheering on their guy, Brian Ortiz, who has been one of the fastest drivers all weekend. Another one of those is Celine Roland, as he will dip and pass Nathaniel Sparks in turn number 9. So back to the lead is that Soul Red Mazda of Celine Roland.
We've not seen that pass to the high side at the entrance tonight in almost any form of racing this weekend. Off of that final turn, though, look who's coming. It's Brian Ortiz, and we'll keep an eye on that 5-6 car breakaway headed toward turn 1 as we head to pit road and Jake Query.
And unfortunately not out there to be able to participate in the action on the track because he's out of the car. Jesse Schmidt, that Marina Bay Realty Group car number 9. What led to the incident here that brought you back out of this race?
Well, I think, unfortunately, about this point in the race, everybody's tires are starting to fall off a little bit, and Stout lost it up in front of me, and I thought he had it locked down, but unfortunately he came back across the track while he was spinning and collected me. So really disappointed for our guys. We're having a really strong run this weekend. We've been working hard trying to work our way up through the field. Don't have a whole lot of experience with this series, so really tough to end this way because we're doing really good this weekend.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
That's Jesse Schmidt, guys.
Oxner is back to 6th now, Nick Yeoman. Brian Ortiz is up to 3rd, and if I were Roland and Sparks, I'd get hooked up and try to check out because he's coming.
You better do it now, and it looks like that's what they're doing on that long back straightaway. A super bold move by Ortiz to get around Oxner, and it certainly shoved the winner from yesterday wide, but Ortiz is charging. There's no doubt about it. There's a look at your front two, Roland and Sparks. They've been up there for the majority of this race. But the thing that's working against him, Mark, is we've got 13 minutes to go.
Right.
That is plenty of time for Brian Ortiz to pick his way through the field and pick up another win. He's about 4 car lengths off of that front two, doing exactly what you're suggesting, a little bump drafting down the front straightaway.
Yep, look at Sparks right there with Roland as they set up for turn number 1. Ortiz, Rigger, as we mentioned, Zach Lee is 5th. Slide Oxner back to 6th. Fernand Palermo up to 7th now. Henderson is 8th, and how about the youngster, Robert Noaker? He has worked his way up to the 9th position. Harrison rounds out the top 10.
Boy, Ortiz a little sloppy through 2 and 3. That allows the front two to get away a little bit, and perhaps more importantly, allows our points leader, Nico Rieger, to close right in on the back bumper of that number 4 machine. Zach Lee doing another fantastic job running in the 5th position, and then Oxner holds down the 6th spot as we've got a breakaway. Getting a report that Keith Jensen went off the racetrack again moments ago, but it is a 6-car breakaway with 12 minutes to go here in the Battery Tender Global MX5 Cup presented by BF Goodrich Tires. And Tony, here's a look at another off for Keith Jensen.
Unfortunately, Keith Jensen's just kind of struggled with finding the path around Portland International Raceway this weekend. He had offs in Friday during practice. I think he had an off yesterday in race number 1, and the troubles kind of just continue here in Portland International. So I think Keith Jensen's going to be pretty ready to head back to Texas, where he's from, and leave the West Coast in the rearview mirror. Jensen ran a full season with us last year, has been on and off here in 2018, but kind of struggling to get around PIR here, but you know who's not struggling, guys? Nathaniel Sparks, and it's important to mention, as Mo Murray from Mazda just reminded me, those are teammates at the very front, 6 Sideways Racing. Yes, Celine Roland may be driving the Mazda Scholarship painted car, and Nathaniel Sparks may be driving the car with the Chihuahua painted on it, but they are teammates from 6 Sideways Racing, and while I'm not going to lead you to believe that there's a lot of team orders involved in global
not right now.
Cup
They're
racing.
Not teammates, I don't think.
I think they're teammates. I think they're teammates for the next few minutes. But as you guys have highlighted, we're just at 10 minutes to go here. That's still quite a few laps of racing. Once we get inside of, I'd like to say, 5 minutes maybe from now, I think then you're really going to see the intensity pick up. But Nathaniel Sparks, again, whether the car in front of him is a teammate or not, he's going to drive a very smart race and pick his spots very carefully, especially after being taken out the way he was yesterday. But boy, Brian Ortiz, as you said, Nick, coming from shotgun on the field to 3rd place. He stands on the podium, as it were, right now. Championship point leader Nico Rieger right behind them, and Zach Lee, your Masters winner, runs 5th overall. The only bad part about yesterday for Zach Lee, he forgot to go to the podium celebrations to pick up his winner's trophy.
Well, that's because he quit, right? Isn't that what you said? He got that top 5 finish that he wanted so badly and said he'd be done racing. Good to see he's back, and it looks like he may grab another 5th place finish today.
I don't like to say I can predict the future, but I wasn't wrong yesterday, I guess. So no, of course Zach Lee not retiring. He just didn't make his way over to the podium. He's back on track right now, and he's working towards getting another top 5 overall finish, which is where he runs. But he is leading the Masters category, which is, again, the same car as the rest of the field. It's just a class designed for drivers 40 years of age and older.
Luke Oxner took a look at that 5th place position as they set up for turn number 1. He wasn't able to work his way around Zach Lee. And Tony, while a lot of the focus, understandably so, was always on the top 4 or 5, we gave the top 10 moments ago. Nice rebound for the likable Ashton Harrison, who finished 26th yesterday after being caught up in that opening lap incident. She's rebounded and is poised for a top 10 finish today.
And I don't want to take all the credit here, guys, but Ashton Harrison, as a part of the repairs to that car, had to put on a brand new front hood to the car to cover that engine bay, and she was inviting everyone at the MX5 Cup paddock to come over and sign that hood with a silver Sharpie. I may have taken a big piece of real estate on that hood and written an insignia and maybe a little message. So if she's able to come out here with a really strong weekend, I don't want to say it's all me, but I'd like to think I played a part in it. But honestly, very cool to see Ashton Harrison having one of the better runs she's had in the last 2 years. She is running P10 right now in that 03 car. The remember, she was taken out yesterday in that lap 1, turn 1 incident. You said it, Mark. She's rebounding really well, and this is one of her better runs of the season. Of course, hopefully we don't put that announcer's curse on her. She's able to keep going here with these last couple of minutes, but very cool to see the only female in the field, Miss Ashton Harrison, running as well as she is currently.
Yeah, Noaker with a nice rebound too, Nick. I mean, we watched that kid do some impressive things over the second half of the season, especially that spirited run he had at Mid-Ohio.
Oh, I think it blew us all away for that very young 14-year-old to score a win. The Battery Tender Global MX-5 Cup presented by BF Goodrich Tires. He was another one that got caught up early in an accident, and so was Brian Ortiz. And you can see that that left front fender is it's all black because that was part of the race car that got damaged yesterday. So that car is repaired. Even when it was damaged yesterday, Mark, he was flying through the field, albeit a lap down, and he is right there pressuring Nathaniel Sparks and Celine Roland. Sparks is in a tough spot. Boy, you could see him working those hands. That car got a little loose through turn number 7. He's got his hands full, Mark. Ortiz going to tuck right up behind that rear bumper down the backstretch.
Normally a passing zone. We see it as that bends around to turn number 8 and starts to set up for turn number 9. We'll see if Sparks jumps out of line. It looks like Brian Ortiz is going to jump out of line. Try to get a run, but no, as they approach the turn, they do tuck back in. The front 4 running nose to tail. Roland, Sparks, Ortiz, and Rieger as they set up for turn 12.
Yeah, out of turn number 12, Celine Roland will lead another lap with just 7 minutes to go here in the Battery Tender Global MX-5 Cup presented by BF Goodrich Tires at Portland International Raceway. It's a 6-car breakaway up front. Roland's going to lead them down into turn number 1. And again, Nathaniel Sparks doing the teammate type thing, staying right tucked in behind. But that tough spot that he's in, Mark, is he is under attack from Brian Ortiz and is going to have to make up his mind whether he wants to pass the leader Roland or continue to work with his teammate and become in danger of getting passed by Ortiz.
Yeah, and Ortiz certainly has to be mindful of Nico Rieger. The front 4 starting to separate themselves a little bit, and wherever Ortiz goes, he does not want the void that he leaves to be an opportunity for Nico Rieger. But now look who's right back in the mix. We see the 77 of Luke Oxner. They're all involved. 5 cars now breaking away as we've reached about 7 minutes to go in this race.
Yeah, boy, Zach Lee is really in danger of losing that front 5 down the backstretch here as he's fallen about 6 car lengths behind. So that was a big move by Oxner to clear Lee and move ahead. And that bright white car, Zach Lee trying to stay with this lead group with just 6 minutes to go. Celine Roland leads this 5-car train into the S's of 9 and 10.
I just like the way that car's behaving, quite frankly. Yeah. I mean, it seems they have plenty of grip through the turns. He can throw it high, he can throw it low. I mean, as we said, the pass for the lead, Nick, was an impressive one to the high side of turn number 9. We haven't seen that used as a passing zone much this weekend.
Brian Ortiz's car looking a little aggressive out of turn 12 as he kicked up a lot of dirt at the exit of the corner as that's going to affect his run. Not able to get alongside Nathaniel Sparks, who continues to push Celine Roland down into turn number 1. These front 5, though, Mark, boy, all separated by just a matter of feet with just 5.5 minutes to go. We are setting up for one heck of a finish here at PIR.
And just out of the frame is that car of Zach Lee. Moments ago, we thought Lee was in danger of losing that lead draft to those front 5. But now all of a sudden, Zach Lee is back in contention. So it's Roland, Sparks, Ortiz, Rieger, Oxner, and Lee, the top 6. And I think it's safe to say that's probably where your winner is going to come from, but it could come from any one of those top 6.
Yeah, and the huge advantage of this place at Portland is that really tight number turn 1 allows a guy like Zach Lee to get right back into the mix because those front 5 are really having to tiptoe through that corner to make sure they're not leaning on each other and causing an accident. So because they're not able to attack that corner, and Zach Lee was, it allowed him to creep right back into the mix. Here comes Brian Ortiz. He took a look, but still, Mark, nobody's really gutsy enough to make a move down into turn number 9 because of just how tight that part of the racetrack gets.
Tony, don't you think Sparks already is pretty well confident of where he can make his move? He's just biding his time now with just a handful of minutes left.
Yes, absolutely, Mark. You hit the nail on the head there. Not Award. Nathaniel Sparks knows exactly where he can make his car work and where he can't. I think that's more important than anything, knowing where you can't make your car work. Sparky's got his spots around PIR, this nearly 2-mile-long 12-turn track, picked out. He knows if he's got a spot down in turn 1 or maybe on the entry to turn number 9, he knows where to try it and where not to. So he's biding his time, which is so critical. These MX5 Cup races, these BF Goodrich tires, they fall off just like any racing tire. They're not nearly as grippy as they were at the start of this race. So Sparky knows that he not only has somebody right behind him in Brian Ortiz, but he has that carrot of the lead. Celine Roland right in front of him. And if you take a look at the lap times here, minute 27.3 last time by for both Celine Roland and Nathaniel Sparks, heck, and Brian Ortiz. These three leaders, guys, are all over each other, but it's a classic MX5 Cup race that we've grown accustomed to seeing all year long, right inside the last couple of minutes here, and it's a 6-car breakaway. Anyone could win this race.
Yeah, Zach Lee has caught up to Luke Oxner again, and Oxner continues to try to track down Nico Rieger. Off turn number 8 now. They'll carry plenty of momentum toward turn number 9, and we see the 77 of Oxner jump out of line.
Yeah, I think Oxner realizes, hey, I got 3 minutes to go, and I'm running in the 5th position. He's got to get aggressive as they kick up a ton of dirt through turn number 9. So for Oxner, he knows that he's got to push the button and got to get on it right now. The thing that I've been blown away with, Mark, is Brian Ortiz started 24th today. He's passed a ton of cars all the way up into the 3rd position, but over the last 4 or 5 laps, he hasn't been able to truly get to the top of the mountain. He's going to take a look, though, now as he goes to the inside of Sparks.
Got a really good run off of that final turn, and he got door handle to door handle just about the start-finish line, and then was forced to tuck back in behind him. That allowed Nico Rieger to catch him, and now Oxner and Lee, they tighten up again off of turn number 3. Setting up for turn 4, Roland has about a car length advantage of about a length and a half now as they set up for 5 and 6.
Yep, 6 cars for the win here at PIR in MX5. Celine Roland, again, just bending that car left and right through the S's through turns 6 and 7 as we've got just a few minutes to go. 2 minutes left, in fact, here in this race. Ortiz going to charge to the outside. He's all over the rear bumper of Sparks, but some Roland continues to be comfortable out of turn number 7 as they set up for the backstretch.
Back markers could come into play. They're running just in front of them. Don't know that they'll be a factor, but they certainly could. They fan out a little bit now off of turn number 8. 3rd place running Brian Ortiz is trying to make a run as they set up for turn number 9.
Doesn't have the run, though, to get alongside Nathaniel Sparks as they all go single file through turns 9 and 10. Roland going to set up through 11 and 12. Just about a car length advantage over Nathaniel Sparks as they race out of turn number 12. Mark, they're going to see the white flag this time by. It'll be displayed. 1 to go here at PIR. Can Celine Roland hold on to score the victory?
Watching the drag race down the straightaway, Ortiz in that 3rd position, fanned out to the bottom of the racetrack. Now he'll tuck right back in line. They'll stay single file. Some contact now at the entrance to turn number 1 between Roland and Sparks, but Roland is able to hold on to it. Ortiz gets a piece of the bumper of the 2nd place car of Sparks. They want to go side by side at the entrance to turn 4.
Sparks is going to throw it into turn 4. Ortiz will. Sparks will have to swing a little wide. That's big for Celine Roland as he'll hold on through turns 5 and 6. Brian Ortiz in that 3rd position looking to try to move up into the top spot as we see Luke Oxner lose a spot as they make their way to turn number 7.
Roland is saying, beat and bang all you want, boys. I'll check out just a little bit. About a 2-car length advantage now. The wide swing off of turn number 6. The setup for the switchback, more or less, than is 7. That long bender into turn number 8. It'll be a drag race down the back straightaway. Roland has the advantage for now. Sparks is right there. Will he jump out of line? As they see traffic right in front of them. Don't think it's going to be a factor, but there's a drag race into turn number 10. Nick Yeoman between the leaders.
Oh, and Nathaniel Sparks got into Celine Roland. That opens the door for Ortiz. Out of the final corner, though, Mark, here comes Celine Roland.
Celine Roland sees the twin checkers being waved, and he will go to victory lane here at Portland International Raceway. What a spirited drive by Celine Roland to get to victory lane today.
Boy, he holds off Nathaniel Sparks, who took his shot through the S's of turn 9. A little contact between those two as those 6 sideways teammates put together one heck of a battle for the win. But it is Celine Roland with career win number 2. He scored the victory at COTA earlier this year, comes out to the West Coast and wins here at Portland International Raceway. Sparks, man, what a charge, Mark, for him to try to take the top spot. Ortiz was right there ready to pick up the pieces, but what a fabulous job over the last couple laps by Celine Roland. to keep us cool and ultimately win this race.
Well, no question. Nathaniel Sparks, Brian Ortiz threw everything at him, and I think at one point, Nick, especially over the last 4 or 5 turns, Sparks, as much as he wanted to be focused on Roland, he had to be concerned with Ortiz. He wanted to hold on to P2, and Ortiz was throwing a lot at him.
It's just a testament to the competition in this series. You're right. As aggressive as you want to get to try to pass someone ahead of you, you know in that 6-car breakaway that there's a couple right behind you that are just as capable of winning. So what a big win for Celine Roland. And Tony, as we take a look at the points, he claws to within 1 point of Nico Rieger heading to the final race weekend at Monticello Motor Club in New York. Boy, what a championship battle, and what a big win for Celine Roland.
Are you not entertained? Global MX5 Cup racing continues to thrill and excite. And guys, just one note before I run out of here. Nathaniel Sparks did everything in his power to win that race, made contact with his own team driver, Celine Roland, and made sure they both got to the finish line. Celine Roland's your winner. Nathaniel Sparks comes home second, and Brian Ortiz recovers what could have been a terrible weekend to stand on the podium in third. That is Battery Tender Global MX5 Cup Racing. To the folks here at Portland International Raceway, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Mark, Nick, thanks so much for letting me hang out with you guys. Monticello is going to be not nearly as fun without the two of you. It's been a great season of racing. We're heading to victory lane right now.
Thanks, Tony. Good stuff, as always. And how about, Nick, how about Robert Noecker, Hernan Palermo, and as we mentioned, Harrison, all drivers that had issues yesterday, finished at the bottom of the grid, and all rebound to score top 10s today. Huge for them.
Yeah, pretty fantastic job of all those drivers and those teams to get those cars put back together. Maybe not competitive enough to race with the front 6 that we saw break away, but certainly if we would have got a full course caution, drivers like Palermo and Noecker, who were just outside of that top 6 battle, we would have got a full course caution. They might have been factors, because consistently this season, Palermo and Noecker have been strong.
Joey Bickers, Todd Lamb, 2 guys that are normally in contention, not part of the show today, to give you an idea of what that carnage was like yesterday. And let's face it, Nick, as difficult as the start was yesterday, everything was pretty clean, pretty impressive. Everyone gave us a good, clean, and very entertaining race today. Let's go to Victory Lane and Jake Query.
I'll tell you what, that was in the last couple of laps. Just watching it was a little bit nerve-wracking. Celine Roland, congratulations. Tell me what was going through your mind as you were watching the battle behind you.
Oh, man, I knew I had to keep someone behind me in between Ortiz and I. Ortiz seemed like he was on a charge, but Sparky and I worked together. It's so great to get the 1-2 for 6 sideways. Sparky and I worked together. We switched the top spot a couple times. And, when we switched, we didn't lose a spot. We were always 1-2, so that worked out perfectly for the team. Shout out to 6 Sideways. They had 4 cars involved in the wrecks yesterday, and they worked probably to midnight last night, getting everything straight away. Even this car, this car was out of the race yesterday, but it was an amazing job. This was awesome.
Obviously, the paint scheme alone lets us know that you're a scholarship winner. But if you could, tell me what Mazda's done for you just in terms of allowing you to learn and grow in this series, but also move beyond that with the money they can make available to you.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't even be racing without Mazda. I started my career in Spec Miata, and that's where I learned all my racecraft. And then for them to notice amateur racers like myself and bring them out to such a special event, the shootout, and I was fortunate enough to win that's amazing. And now I'm here, my second professional win, and fighting for a championship. And now if I win this, I get $200,000 to go to the next step. It's incredible what Mazda does for us.
Congratulations. Enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Celine Roland has won here at the Portland International Raceway.
Absolutely fantastic job as Celine Roland gets congratulated by John Doonan there in Victory Lane as he scores the victory in MX5 at Portland. A big thank you to Jake Query and Tony Laporta. For Mark Janes, I'm Nick Yeoman. Congratulations, Celine Roland, your winner in MX5 here at Portland.
From Portland International Raceway, it's time for the Indy Lights, presented by Cooper Tires. on the Advance Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network.
Live from Portland International Raceway, it's time to go racing for the final event of the 2018 Indy Lights season here at PIR. The champion has been crowned at his Patricio Award. But we've got one more race where certainly a lot of drivers have a lot to prove as we're going to go racing for 35 laps. Thank you so much for joining us. My name's Nick Yeoman. Happy to have the 2017 Indy Lights champion Kyle Kaiser in the booth with us, along with Steve Wittick from Trackside Online. And Kyle, first let's talk about what Patricio Award did yesterday. Fabulous victory as he and Colton Herta traded the lead a couple times, and a championship, a season's worth of hard work paid off.
That aggression really showed. It came down to it, and he wanted to win that championship yesterday for sure. You could tell with that dominant pass he made, and he ran away with it from there. So amazing job all year, and very proud to crown him champion this year.
Steve Wittick, you've been with us for a majority of the season watching this Indy Lights campaign. There's no doubt about it that although the field has been kind of small this year, a ton of talent and super deserving for Pato Award now to take that scholarship to the IndyCar Series.
Yeah, it really has. Like you said, not a lot of cars, but what the cars and drivers we've had, there's a ton of talent here. There's a lot of drivers that I expect you'll see in the IndyCar Series at some point down the road, whether it's next season or the following seasons. And, it's been a lot of hard work for Pato, and I know his dad has worked really hard to keep him in racing and keep him moving forward. And he can call himself an IndyCar driver. And I talked to his dad yesterday after the race, and he was pretty excited.
So we're set to go racing for 35 laps. And Kyle, I think the focus for a lot of these drivers now kind of changes today because points kind of out the window in terms of the championship. There's still a few spots that I guess can be decided. But ultimately, everybody wants to end the season with a win. There's no doubt about it.
Every driver's going for that win, and we have a very interesting lineup for this last race. Obviously, Pato struggled in the second qualifying, which is probably why he was so aggressive in the race yesterday. Having that opportunity to clinch that championship makes it a lot easier for him today, not having to necessarily fight for a championship in the second race. It's going to be all about just going out there and having fun.
You said he struggled. He actually crashed in that second qualifying session, as we remember. And Steve, it was a pretty big hit down there in turn number 4. Pretty impressive job by that Andretti Autosport team to get that car ready for him, ultimately to go out and win yesterday's race.
Yeah, they did a really good job. I went over there sort of in between the sessions and talked to some of their crew, and Jess Mace works on his car, and they got that new left front hung on there pretty quickly. They actually had it really ready to go probably about an hour and a half early. So really good group of people over there, and it really helps when you have more people to get involved to help you fix that car.
And that hard work paid off as, again, Pato Award clinched the championship yesterday, but his work cut out for him today if he wants to score his 9th win of the season, as he is going to start in the 7th position. Here's the starting lineup for today's race. It's Ryan Norman on the pole, the winner at Gateway, with a fantastic lap at a minute 4.068. He grabbed the top spot, and he's got Aaron Telitz to his outside. Telitz has not won a race this season, so a couple very hungry drivers on the front row. Santi Urrutia is going to start third in that second Bilardi car. Santi obviously super disappointed that a championship didn't come to him, but he would love to impress some car owners with a race win today. Colton Herta will start to the outside of Urrutia in the 4th position. Victor Franzoni will start 5th. Dalton Kellett is 6th. In 7th is your champion, Patricio Award. And in the 8th spot is Heeman Choi, who joins the Indy Lights Series this weekend. After Ryan Norman's pole lap, we caught up with him yesterday as he'll lead the field to the green flag for the final race of the year here at Portland.
Congratulations. What a great car here in qualifying.
Yeah, that car was mega. It was so perfect. Yesterday, I was still learning the track a little bit. That's why I wasn't so strong in qualifying 1. But, I want to thank them so much for giving me such a great car, and this is a wonderful experience.
Can you talk about what that victory at Gateway did for your confidence, your momentum coming here to Portland?
Now I'm just focused on race wins, just going out and winning as many races as I can. At the same time, I want to stay consistent and bring the car home the best I can at certain points. But, yeah, it's all about race wins now for sure.
So it's Ryan Norman, the winner at Gateway Motorsports Park just 1 week ago, that will lead the field to the green flag. And what an opportunity for him, Kyle. It was so strong at Gateway with an impressive win. He's got a chance to close the year out here winning 2 of the last 3.
That would be a really great way to close out the year, and to do it one on an oval and then another on a road course would really show that he's developed to have that diversity and versatility to be strong on all aspects of racing in the road to Indy.
And Steve, how impressed have you been with this season for Ryan Norman as he's really kind of closing on a hot streak?
Yeah, he really has, and it's. I think a lot of people don't understand. It's not a long-time racer. You know, this is really only his third season in this kind of car. I think he did a year of SCCA, Formula Enterprise, and then he did a year of the Formula Atlantics, and then second year in Lights. So he's starting to learn, and he's learning quickly. And I think if he comes back next year, he will be a driver to beat.
We're just getting started today on the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network. This is the Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tires. A little bit later today, we'll go racing for the Grand Prix of Portland here at Portland International Raceway on the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network. Mark Janes and Anders Crone will guide us through that broadcast, coming your way at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific here at the racetrack. Kyle, I know a lot of us, I can't speak for everyone, but I've really enjoyed the weekend here at Portland. Awesome to see open wheel racing back, and certainly the community. This area, they've been hungry for an event as big as this, and folks have been showing out this weekend.
Showing out they have. Driving in this morning, I was happy to be sitting in traffic driving into this track because it showed that everybody's getting here early, enjoying this racetrack for what it is.
And Steve, you know about the history of racing here at Portland. For many, many years, fans came out to watch open wheel racing, the drivers of CART and Champ Car, and now for America's top open wheel series, the Verizon IndyCar Series, to be back here. Certainly big for this area.
Yeah, it really is. The Pacific Northwest is sort of an untapped area for racing, and I've actually talked to a lot of people in the paddock and around, fans that have actually come down from Canada, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton. There's no race that's closer than this one for that West Coast Canadian fan base to go to as well. And this has been a very good and very well-attended event so far. And from what I've seen of the crowd streaming in today, I expect it to be a fantastic crowd.
Just moments away from the engines firing here at Portland International Raceway. Let's check in with one of our pit reporters, Dan Ruzanowski. Dan, we've been blessed all weekend long with some really nice temps, and looks like we're in store for some fantastic weather for this final Indy Lights race, and then, of course, later today for the Verizon IndyCar Series.
Boy, that is an understatement, Nick. It is beautiful down here on pit lane. The track conditions, ambient temperature 61 degrees. On the track, 79 degrees, and that really is something. You know, we were talking to Will Power about going around this track, and he really likes the fact that he's been able to experience the track on the IndyCar side with a varying degree of conditions. It'll be a little warmer for the IndyCar race today, but for Lights, it's just beautiful.
Dan mentioned it, this fantastic 12-turn, 2-mile road course here in Portland, Oregon. We asked our pole sitter for today's race a little bit later today, Will Power, to take us on a lap around PIR.
Turn 1-2 is the slowest corners on the track. Obviously, you got to give it a little bit in turn 1 to get a good exit of 2. The 4, 5, 6 complex is a lot of fun, like especially 4, 5 carry a lot of speed. If you're top of third gear through there, second gear in 6. And man, this track takes a lot of bravo. Yeah, just Rossi there just wanting a shout out. So we'll dedicate turn 7 to him, which is it's a hairpin, very banked. Exit is very important there, and obviously a very long back straight into the most daunting corner on the whole track, which is the fast chicane. 5th gear, left, right, and then down to the last corner, get down to second gear there, and onto a nice wide long straight.
A big thanks to the pole sitter for the Portland Grand Prix for the Verizon IndyCar Series, Will Power, describing this racetrack. Kyle Kaiser, your impressions of this fantastic racetrack here in Portland.
This racetrack is amazing. It's got a really great flow to it. And now that I've had a chance to drive a couple laps in the two-seater, I can really appreciate this track surface and the amazing flow of the entire circuit. Like Will said, that 9, 10, 11 complex at the end of the back straightaway is very daunting. It feels very narrow. And as we've seen a lot of these drivers, if they get offline by half a car width, you could hit a little bit of dirt out there, and that could send you right into the wall. So it's very high stakes for these drivers.
And I know turn 7's kind kind of been a spot that you eyeballed early on this weekend as certainly it's a spot that's kind of changed over the years here at Portland, but that's kind of a hot spot where we've seen drivers getting sideways and ultimately trying to set up some passes.
It is extremely challenging, and now that I've had a chance to look at some in-car from some of these drivers, I think the difficult part is coming off of that turn 6 area. You're tracking way wide to keep your speed good, but you got to get all the way back across the left for that brake zone. And some of these drivers, if you go into the brake zone with just a little bit of steering in the car, it's going to get sideways. It's going to get loose and be really hard for them to collect those cars.
Well, you can hear the engines fire here at Portland International Raceway for the final event of the 2018 Indy Lights season presented by Cooper Tires. It's been a fantastic championship to watch. Colton Herta and Pato O'Ward battle throughout the course of this season. Pato O'Ward clinched the championship yesterday, and now one final race to end the season on a high note. And Steve Whittick, let's talk a little bit about Colton Herta, because certainly disappointed not to come away with the championship. He really wasn't too happy with how his teammate Colton Herta ran him there towards the end of the race, or the battle for the lead ultimately that got Pato the win yesterday.
I know he wasn't. He definitely, after the race, I talked to him, and he was not no mood to talk to Patricio, his teammate. But I wonder if they maybe take a look at it differently. But he thought he raced Patricio cleanly when he went by him, and then teammate didn't return the favor when he went by him. They definitely made a little bit of contact. I looked at it as a racing incident, but maybe Kyle had a different look as someone who's been in that position before.
Well, I think Pato is racing for a championship, and you can't expect favors when there's a championship on the line. So, I mean, no fault to Colton. He was racing really cleanly, and it wasn't necessarily the cleanest move I've seen from another driver from Pato, but, this is racing, and guys are going out there racing for $1 million grand prize. You're going to do what it takes to get that.
Yeah, you really are.
And Kyle, let's be honest, if either one of those drivers wants to go to victory lane today, they're going to have to be aggressive with Herta starting 4th and Pato O'Ward starting 7th. They may not have necessarily liked it. Colton certainly didn't. Rob Edwards said, boy, we were right there on that line, but it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers manage trying to charge through the field today.
Yeah, they're going to have to be aggressive for sure in these early laps, especially going into turn 1. It's going to get pretty hairy. I'm excited to see what they're going to do or which line they're going to take to get through there clean.
Our second pit reporter is Rob Howden. Rob, just one final race to close out this season. Good morning here from Portland.
Thank you so much, Nick. Doesn't it just seem like it was a wink ago that we were at St. Petersburg for the Grand Prix in the opening round of this Indy Lights season? Man, what a year it's been. Of course, a couple of great young drivers looking to work their way to the Verizon IndyCar Series next year. Let's talk, though, about the weather here today. People are streaming into the place here at the Portland International Raceway. Blue skies, a little bit of cloud, 62 degrees ambient temperature, just 80 degrees track temperature. This will be a different approach to these guys. It was a lot warmer yesterday. Cooler temperature is going to mean a little bit slipperier, but of course, aero's going to be good, and these Mazda engines will love these cooler temperatures.
Appreciate it, Rob. Well, your hard work all season long. It's been a lot of fun this year watching this championship as we are just about set to go racing here at Portland International Raceway. The field of 8 getting the 1 to go sign as Ryan Norman is your pole sitter here at Portland for the final race of the year. Got a couple gentlemen out on the racetrack to help describe the action. The first one that we'll be dropping to once they exit those festival curves of turns 1, 2, and 3, they'll pop into turn 4 and into the view of Jake Query.
Thank you, Nick. When they make that turn 4, it's essentially a long, sweeping, right-handed turn. Technically speaking, that makes it turns 4 and 5. As a matter of fact, the field with Ryan Norman just behind the pace car does that just beside me here. Norman getting heat in those tires. Once they work their way out of turn number 5, very quickly they have to set up for a lefty that is turn number 6. Then, after about 600 yards, a right-handed turn that is turn number 7. It is at that point when they come into the view of Dave First.
Jake, good morning to you. This is essentially a flat road course, not unlike what we see at the road course at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But the exit of turn 7 actually slightly uphill before hitting this giant bend to the right. They'll snug up to a concrete wall on the right, Armco barriers to the left. Behind the barriers, we've got some apple trees, pine trees, some marks on some of these pines where beavers have been chewing through them. It's a rustic scene which takes them east into turn 9. It's a Bob Ross painting, Nick Yeoman, waiting to happen here at Portland International Raceway as we are set to go this morning.
Oh, you know I love those Bob Ross mentions. I love it, Dave. Jake, have a great time out there today as we are set to go racing. Field of 8 making their way through the last couple corners. as we are about to see the green flag. Boy, a super disjointed start as they roar out of turn number 12. In fact, the front 4 about the only ones to get away. The front 7 now all catching up, and they may almost go 7 wide. Look at this run down to turn 1 as they stream out. A lot of dust as Colton Herta gets turned. Looks like Ryan Norman made contact. Dalton Kellett drives right through a couple IndyCar signs and ramps up and over those signs. He'll have the lead, though, Jake, as they race into turn 4.
But he will not hold on to that lead for long as the full course caution comes out. We will find out how they determine the order here, but the lead car now is Aaron Telitz, followed by Dalton Kellett, Santi Urrutia, then Pato O'Ward, and Victor Franzoni as they work their way under full course caution into turn number 6.
Kyle Kaiser, that was an absolute mess of a start. First of all, the roar out of turn 12 wasn't very good, but boy, then they decided to go nearly 6 wide down into turn 1.
We're watching the replay here, and we're seeing 6 wide, and it looks like Colton was trying to take that outside and swing all the way to the inside, but obviously there's not enough room for all these drivers, and Dalton Kellett just blew straight through the
he just
middle
gunned it.
It looks like they changed the alignment for that for those barriers there, and he might not have seen that before the race, and give him credit for going for it there. That was a pretty hectic start there.
Not even sure if we can necessarily pin that on Ryan Norman, who made the contact with Colton Herta, because he had Victor Franzoni to his inside. I mean, it's just it's marbles in a blender, Steve, as they made their way down to turn number 1.
Yeah, it's not overly surprising. As I was doing my research for this race, I think 9 out of the first 14 Indy Lights races here had a lap 1 turn 1 incident. So I was actually kind of surprised we didn't go. We went caution free of the first lap yesterday, but obviously not today.
My goodness, Rob Howden, what a start in this final event of the 2018 season.
Nick sitting down here right now with Dalton Kellett, both he and Ryan Norman coming in. They're going to put a new front wing on the car of Dalton Kellett. And also it looks like he has a flat right front tire. That thing got so much air when he hit those signs that are used for the runoff area. But I don't think Dalton realized every one of those signs has 2 50-pound bags of sand in each corner to hold them down. You saw when he hit them. He had to hit in the middle of 2. He launched over both of the bags of sand and shot that car in the air. They're going to go to work here getting the front wing on the 28 at Dalton Kellett.
Correction, Rob. Those signs did have 50-pound bags of sands because Dalton Kellett absolutely destroyed it. Kyle, you're kind of hoping they make one of those internet. Is it a GIF or a GIF? I've never been quite able to put it together, but that may go viral with Dalton Kellett pinning it up and over those signs.
When it comes to the pronunciation of GIF or GIF, I've always found that giraffe is a good way to say it. So I call it a GIF. That's how I've always gone about it. But that would be the best GIF I've ever seen, I think.
Boy, what a wild start to this final race of this season, Rob Howden. I think we kind of knew that there are going to be a lot of hungry drivers trying to end the season with a win, but you're standing by with our pulse.
Well, actually, I'll grab him in a second. TV stepped in. I'm going to give you the update on the car, though, right now. He's already out. He is upset. He's talking to Katie Hargan at this point here, looking at the left front of the car. Both of the wishbones, the steering arm, the wishbones, all destroyed in the left front of that car. Tough one for Ryan Norman, guys. Starting on the pole position, he will not finish lap number 2.
Dan Rusanowski, you're on pit lane. A little bit of carnage in front of you as well.
Yeah, Colton Herta came in, and they looked at his right front tire, but they ended up just replacing the nose, and obviously that's the only change they made. Took him a few seconds to get that done with his team, and now he's back out on the track.
So it is unofficially, I guess we can say officially, Aaron Telitz is your leader here at Portland International Raceway, working lap 2 of 35 here. His teammate Santi Urrutia looked like, honestly, Steve, the 2 Bilardi teammates might have came out looking pretty good through that first corner incident, as it's Telitz, Urrutia running 1-2. Maybe Pato O'Ward, beneficiary of starting 7th as he cycled his way up to 3rd. Heeman Choi, they kind of left Heeman Choi at the start of this race. That ended up being a big benefit as he's now got the 4th position.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely an interesting restart here. I imagine Pato might think, hey, I got a win here. And you got 2 very hungry Bilardi guys there who are both, Santi has 1 win. Aaron has none this season. It's not been the greatest year for those guys, for the Bilardi team. They're used to winning a lot more races than that. So I think this could be an interesting three-car battle up front here.
Yep, so it's Telitz, Urrutia, O'Ward, then you've got Heeman Choi, Victor Franzoni, who was caught up in that incident. He's still on the racetrack running in the 5th spot. Colton Herta has been able to stay on the lead lap. They, as Dan Rusanowski talked about, had to make some quick repairs to that car. So ultimately, it looks like we might have only lost 2 cars out of the race, as Dalton Kellett and Ryan Norman, the 2 Andretti teammates. Certainly, as Rob talked about, Norman's already out of his car, and I would assume Dalton Kellett's the damage to that machine with the way he ramped up and over those signs may very well be terminal as well. Kellett does still sit in that number 28 machine, as the field will see 1 to go. And Kyle, we're going to just try this again with the 2 Belardi teammates up front.
Try it again, we shall, and hopefully we have a little cleaner start this time. I don't think we'll see 6 wide again going into the first corner.
I don't think we can. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, I guess it comes down to that was just a really fast start.
Yeah.
And having the acceleration that early is giving everybody a chance behind you to get that draft and carry all that speed going into the first corner. So maybe a little lack of experience from Ryan Norman to knowing to keep the field a little slower to give yourself an advantage starting from the pole. But that's what you have the road to Indy for, is for these experience to learn that moving up through the ranks.
Let's hear from our pole sitter, Rob Howden. You're standing by with Ryan Norman.
Ryan Norman, a tough way to launch their first time for the pole position. You've had a couple of minutes to kind of think what happened there. Can you get a read on what you think transpired?
I mean, I think Franzoni was the one that originally hit me, but I feel like there's a good amount of people that just outbroke themselves and just tried to go in so deep, and I think it was kind of an amateur, unprofessional thing to do. I mean, it's the last race of the season. I understand they want to get a race win, but yeah, I mean, I thought we had a good chance to win this race. Sadly, not, but. I guess we'll just come back next year stronger and go for the championship. So,
hey, look forward to seeing you in 2019.
Thanks.
Ryan Norman, guys, very disappointed with the chance of starting on pole, trying to go for a race win.
Yep, we certainly do hope that Ryan Norman is back in Indy Lights next year, as he really closed the season strong with a win at Gateway Motorsports Park and was having a good weekend with that pole position. So Aaron Telitz is your leader here at Portland International Raceways. We're set to go back racing, or really get started racing, since we never really did. It's the Belardi teammates 1-2. We see Heeman Choi already jumping out of the throttle. He's going to let a couple cars go past him. That's going to let the front 3 get away a little bit, though, as we are racing once again at Portland, and we get a no start yellow flag, as race control didn't like that start. Kyle, Heeman Choi doing the smart thing. He knows that his pace isn't necessarily there, but boy, it allowed Franzoni and Herta. They got awful stacked up there out of turn number 12.
Yeah, it seemed like an odd place on track to do that, especially right before where the start zone would be. So smart on them to wave that off and get all collected for the next start.
Let's go back to pit lane. Another update from Dan Rusanowski.
Dalton Kellett is back on the circuit after some extended repairs to his right front. Looks like they've replaced a wishbone, a couple of other things. So now he is back on the circuit. Obviously, no chance to win, but he could be a factor if he gets tangled with somebody, and we'll have to keep our eyes on that.
Yep, looks like Dalton Kellett's going to rejoin the action 3 laps down here at Portland. So Dan is absolutely right. The chance of Dalton Kellett scoring his first career win gone, but he will rejoin the action and gain a little bit more experience in this final race of the year. Field making their way down the back straightaway. Heeman Choi has been pushed back to the end of the pack, so that'll allow Victor Franzoni and Colton Herta, who were involved in that opening lap accident, still on the lead lap. They'll have a chance to race with those drivers, and officially we are getting the reason for that no start was because of Heeman Choi jumping out of the throttle. Here's Aaron Telitz, though. He hasn't won a race this year. Would love to cap off the 2018 season with a victory like he did last year. He will see the green flag, and we're back to racing at Portland International Raceway. He'll lead his teammate Santi Urrutia down to turn 1. Urrutia's got his hands full as Pato O'Ward pops to the inside, looking for that second spot. O'Ward not close enough to take that second spot, as Aaron Telitz leads him out of turn number 3.
Best battle on the racetrack right now might be that for position number 4. Colton Herta locked him up heading into turn number 4, trying to reel in Victor Franzoni. But the leader is Aaron Telitz. Then behind him it's Urrutia, O'Ward right there. Then Franzoni, boy, Herta really working the wheel, running in the 5th position. Dave first, let's take a look at this. The battle for 4th. Victor Franzoni holds it, but here comes that blue and white of Colton Herta just behind.
Got to think it's only a matter of time before that Yankee blue of Colton Herta makes his way around the 23 of Victor Franzoni. Not going to happen in this big right-handed bend turn towards turn 8, although Herta takes a look to the inside, then gets back in line through turns 9 and 10, Nick Yeoman.
Yeah, boy, Kyle, he took a look, but it gets awful tight down there in turn 9.
Yeah, Victor held his ground there. He's thinking maybe if he shows nose, maybe Victor will back out, but Victor stayed strong into it, and that's not a place you want to go too wide, especially with all the dust we've been seeing going up there.
But Colton's got a charge down the front straightaway, so he'll go to the inside and easily get around Victor Franzoni into turn number 1. So when they stack up in 9, sometimes that opens the opportunity to get a guy in turn 1, and Jake, that's exactly what Colton Herta did, grabbing that 4th spot.
And right now, it's Belardi Autosport holding spots 1 and 2. Again, it's Aaron Thielitz, then behind him Santi Urrutia. Then you wait for Award. Then Colton Herta, who jumps into the 4th spot. Front 5 has really checked out. Victor Franzoni running in the 5th position. The leader, Dave, first is Aaron Thielitz.
This is not unlike some kind of an all-star race where you might find in a second event like this, they invert the field. You've got Award, the champion. He's in 3rd, and now he looks in his rearview mirror and sees that number 98 of Colton Herta. No change through turn 8. It's Thielitz, Urrutia, Award, Herta, Franzoni.
Yeah, I think, Steve, this is shaping up to be pretty interesting because all season long, those Andretti teammates that run in 3rd and 4th, they've had the pace all season long. Those Belardi guys are going to have a hard time holding those two off.
Yeah, they really will. I think it should be an interesting race here to see who can hold on. I think we've got much cooler temperatures, so tire wear shouldn't be an issue. It's going to be interesting to see how patient Pato and Colton are, and how aggressively the other two will defend.
Yep, Pato Award trying to run down Santi Urrutia into turn 4.
Award has about 2 car lengths to make up to get to that second place running machine of Urrutia. Thielitz has the same advantage in the front spot. Aaron Thielitz, then Urrutia, followed by Pato Award. Gap back just a little bit before you get to Colton Herta and then Victor Franzoni.
Call it a 2-car length advantage for the leader right now in Aaron Thielitz, who again started second but now finds himself in the lead. Spaced pretty evenly back to his teammate Santiago Urrutia. Then it's Award, Herta, Franzoni, single file through turn 8.
Thielitz, Urrutia, Award, and Colton Herta, the front 4 through turn number 9. Let's go back to pit lane and catch up with Rob Houghton.
Thank you so much, Nick. Obviously a big family out here at the Mazda Road to Indy, but there are some great organizations that continue to grow within the program. I'm standing by with Michael Duncalf from Exclusive Autosport. You had an Ontario and Quebec F1600 team. Now you decide last year to do a US F2000 team. You end up finishing 3rd in the championship, win some races. So of course, why not grow to Pro Mazda, right? And then you get Parker Thompson winning some races as well. You were in the championship battle. How do you feel this year? How did things go in Pro Mazda and US F2000?
It was a good year all around. Really proud of the crew. They stepped it up. They keep growing and developing as our drivers. Parker did a phenomenal job this year, clinching P2 in the championship. And like you said, we battled all year long. Congrats to Renus and the Juncos crew because they did a phenomenal job. But yeah, the team, the Exclusive Autosport team, just keeps grinding away, and we're challenging top 3 in every championship right now that we're competing in. So it's pretty proud.
Michael, we talk about this whole road to Indy being making drivers move up the ranks, whether it's engineers working up the ranks as well. You're doing a fantastic job in terms of growing your program as well. Are we going to see an Indy Lights program potentially? You're smiling. Are we going to see an Indy Lights program with Exclusive soon?
That's the dream for sure. What the Andersons have put together here with the Road to Indy and the 3 levels is pretty impressive. And with Mazda and all their support, for drivers, it's also for teams giving us the ability to keep growing our program. So 2019, I think, would be a little premature for an Exclusive Autosport Indy Lights program, but 2020 possibly.
Santi Urrutia taking the lead on the racetrack. We'll cut back to that momentarily. One more question. I'm talking to Michael Duncalf, team owner from Exclusive Autosport. I think one of the great things about your program is the fact you have that F1600 team as well in Canada, and you guys are winning championships up there, winning races. That's really where you're going to start drawing drivers from, is it not?
Absolutely. I believe F1600 is a great step for drivers coming out of karts. So jump into the 1600 and then right into US F2000 and then on to Pro Mazda.
Second year of Pro Mazda next year. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Rob. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, guys. There he is, Michael Duncalf from Exclusive Autosports, one of the teams rising in this Mazda Road to Indy. They're going to be in Indy Lights one day, maybe even IndyCar. You never know. Michael Duncalf's a guy that likes to keep growing his program, but he's doing a great job, Nick Yeoman. Get these young kids from F1600, bringing them through US F2000, trying to follow in the footsteps of Parker Thompson.
Yeah, it's a fantastic climb that they've had, and certainly look forward to the day when they are competing in the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. Kyle, we just saw a fantastic pass by Santi Urrutia to grab the lead, and Aaron Thielitz Telitz didn't get to hold on to second for very long because Pato O'Ward ran him down. First, let's talk about that pass that Pato made down into turn 1.
Really textbook pass there. Got a good draft, definitely on the P2P there. Popped to the outside because he defended, but he had so much speed that he cleared him before they even got to the brake zone. So very, very good pass.
And Dave, first, you saw that pass by Santi Urrutia as he got one heck of a run down the backstretch a couple laps ago.
Yeah, we talk about, in theory, there's a chance that you could pass in turn 9 or heading into turn 9. We just hadn't seen it yet this weekend, but we just saw it a couple of laps ago. Nice pass by Urrutia to get around Telitz, but now Urrutia's got to worry about Pato O'Ward.
And Aaron Telitz has got his hands full with Colton Herta into turn number 9 as those Andretti teammates continue to work over the Belardi cars. Boy, Santi Urrutia, though, Steve, he's a guy that, again, wishes he could have gotten this championship this year. Close in the year with a victory would be awful big for his career.
Yeah, it really would. It would help him out a lot here. And we've got Pato looking at him in turn 1, and that's an interesting relationship with those two. Pato credits Santi a lot for helping him grow when they were teammates at Team Pelfrey and Pro Mazda, but now it's looking like Pato, the student, is following the teacher awfully closely.
Two really good battles, Jake Query, one for the lead and one for third.
After that battle for third, right now it's Aaron Telitz holding it, Colton Herta right behind him. Literally the same distance 1 through 4 between one another. Santi Urrutia, then Pato O'Ward. Maybe you wait just a little bit, then Telitz, Herta, and then Franzoni.
Yep, it's Urrutia, O'Ward, Telitz, and then Victor Franzoni is not going anywhere in this battle, so perhaps call it a three-way battle for third. Telitz leads that group.
Yep, at working lap number 7 of 35 here at Portland International Raceway, final race of the season, and Pato O'Ward, the driver who claimed the championship yesterday, is starting to run down the leader, Santi Urrutia. He'll take a look to the outside as Urrutia moves low to defend. They'll go side by side into turn 1. Urrutia gets there first. O'Ward tries the switchback maneuver. That's going to allow Telitz to creep right back into the battle. The front 3 out of turn 3.
O'Ward looks a little bit faster out of turn number 3 than does Santi Urrutia, but he's not able to make the move just yet. So Urrutia is still the leader. The distance, though, is just a car length and a half, and then all of a sudden Telitz is right there on O'Ward as well. Telitz got a little bit loose out of turn number 4, gave O'Ward a little bit of breathing room. Urrutia is still the leader now through turn number 7.
Telitz hanging on to that third spot. Wonder how much tire wear is involved in that machine right now after losing a couple of spots, as Telitz now looking at Colton Herta behind him. Franzoni single file. No movement on this lap here, Nick Yeoman.
Pato is charging, though. Boy, he got to within a car length and a half before they had to jump out of the throttle through the kink of turn number 9, back out of the front straightaway. We'll see if Pato can hammer that push-to-pass button. Looks like he just did. Can he get the charge on Urrutia? Urrutia moves low again. Pato almost went with them. They're side-by-side into turn number 1. O'Ward's going to hang it out there. He'll lock up the tires and jump out of the throttle. So Pato has to jump out of the gas and give the lead back to Santi Urrutia. That allows Aaron Telitz once again to climb all over the rear wing of that 27 machine.
Urrutia is able to get away just a little bit. Now all of a sudden the bigger issue for O'Ward after locking him up is Aaron Telitz just behind him. But Telitz has Colton Herta right there. Literally right now 3, 4, and 5. Telitz, Herta, and Franzoni. You could throw up the proverbial blanket over all 3, Dave.
Yeah, I tell you what, how many times in the course of the last couple of years we talked about Santiago Urrutia until recently. Well, don't forget about this 22-year-old. He's trying to hold off some of the best right now, presumably moving on to IndyCar. That includes Pato O'Ward, but it's Urrutia, O'Ward, Telitz, Herta, Franzoni, the top 5.
Kyle, there's no doubt turn 1 is where Pato O'Ward wants to take the lead, as we've seen a couple very close moments down there the last couple laps.
He's getting some really good runs coming onto that front straightaway, and using that push to pass is a big advantage, especially for Santi leading this race, not being able to use it to defend.
And Steve, again, Pato O'Ward's been the fastest driver all year long. He's got 8 wins. Got the championship locked up. You know the swagger that he has, though. He wants to end with one more victory.
Oh, yeah, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. He wants to win with one more victory. It's going to be interesting to see. I won't be surprised if you get a chance to see Pato at Sonoma in an IndyCar in a couple weeks. I think that is a very good possibility now that he's clinched this championship, and it looks like he's starting to pull away a little bit now. So we'll get Santi's pulling away a little bit, but maybe Pato's just letting his tires cool off again.
Yeah, some rumblings and some rumors that we can't, not necessarily nothing confirmed as of yet, but that's a lot of talk in the paddock that we're going to see Pato O'Ward at Sonoma, and I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool. I think you're going to probably see 27, 28 cars at Sonoma. Wouldn't be surprised if you see another driver that's in this field in that race. I know a lot of other people are trying to put together deals. It's kind of cool to watch that many cars at the finale.
Boy, Pato O'Ward just has an absolute rocket ship as he is all over the rear wing of Santi Urrutia. Jake, those two nose to nose in turn 3 and 4.
And just as they enter turn number 4, it's as though O'Ward had to check up just a little bit. That allowed Urrutia to get maybe a half a car length advantage more so, but now O'Ward closes it as they work through turn number 6. Tielitz is back there as well. Santi Urrutia now through turn number 7. Pato O'Ward is trying to reel him in and stalk down.
How about 8 career wins for these top 2 right now? Urrutia has 8. Pato O'Ward has 8. Who's going to win number 9? Well, right now, Tielitz is also in play. Herta Franzoni as they work their way to turn 9.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dave. First, every time those front 2 have started mixing it up, it's allowed Aaron Tielitz to close as Tielitz can kind of run his own race, hit his marks, as those other 2 have to search for grip to try to make passes and to defend. Across the start-finish line, it's still Santi Urrutia. He'll lead lap number 11. Pato not close enough to take a look to the inside as they'll go single file into turn number 1. About a car length separating those 2 as they make their way to the left-hander of turn 2 and back to the right-hander of turn 3. Urrutia's advantage at the line this past lap, Jake Query, just 0.3 of a second.
And again, it's a long sweeping right-handed turn, essentially from turn 4 to 5. Seems entering that turn, O'Ward might be a little faster, but Urrutia, through the balance of it, is able to get gap back. They work their way now through turn number 6, still no change. Through turn 7, O'Ward still a car length and a half behind.
Heeman Choi, the back marker in this group, but I tell you what, this lead pack might catch him here pretty quick. Urrutia, O'Ward, and then call it 10 car lengths back to Tielitz, Herta Franzoni, now making their way into entrance to turn 9.
Pato O'Ward is right there. They both kick up a little dust through turn 9, separated by about a car length. You better believe Pato's going to be on that push-to-pass button as they exit turn number 12. He takes a wide arcing swinging angle out of that corner as they make their way down the front straightaway and across the start-finish line. Here comes Pato O'Ward. He'll duck to the inside. They'll go wheel to wheel. He snookered him into turn 1, and Pato O'Ward will take the lead. Urrutia moved low to try to defend, but Jake Query, new race leader, and it's our champion, Pato O'Ward.
All of a sudden, it looked like somebody was sending up a smoke signal to me from across the way. No, that was brake smoke from Santi Urrutia, who locked him up and allowed Pato O'Ward past him. So O'Ward now the leader, Urrutia in second. Then it's Tielitz, Colton Herta, Victor Franzoni. That's how they run 1 through 5 as they exit now turn number 7.
How much fun is Pato O'Ward having to wrap up this Indy Lights season, celebrating with a sombrero in victory lane? Might do so again. He's got about a 3-car length advantage over Santi Urrutia.
Kyle, that was an awesome pass, and that's why Pato O'Ward is going to be racing with you guys on Sundays in the Verizon IndyCar Series. No doubt about it.
That was an incredible pass, and he had the last couple laps to really read how far Santi was going to defend, and this is a very wide open straightaway. Obviously, we saw 6 wide on the first lap here, so, Santi had to go all the way to the right, and by leaving that little bit of room, he made a decisive move to get to the inside, and now he's in the race lead, so very good job.
And Steve, consistently, Santi Urrutia has been one of the hardest guys to pass over the last couple years in Indy Lights. That was about as good as you're going to see, and very fitting that it comes from our champion driver this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Santi is well known for his defending, but that was, Pato, he outplayed him in that one, and, made Santi make a move, and then made it look like he was maybe going to, pop back in behind him, and then Santi moved back over to get to the corner, and Pato dove down the inside and had more than enough time to get stopped and get through the turn first.
Boy, just a fantastic pass by Pato O'Ward, who takes over the top spot with 14 of 35 complete, Rob Howden, and the advantage for Pato O'Ward, now a pretty healthy 8 car lengths as they race back out of the front stretch.
Nick, Pato O'Ward out front. He's going to be tough for anyone to close in, because when you get Pato out front like that, he's able to put down the laps and pull away. I'm standing with a guy who did the same thing yesterday. Oliver Askew, last year's USF 2000 champion, moved to Pro Mazda this year with a Mazda Scholarship, the sole red car for Cave Motorsports. You get your first win yesterday. You'll be back in the car later on today, but your first win yesterday in Pro Mazda, you did exactly what Pato did. You got out front, no mistakes whatsoever. Have you been able to think about that first win? Is it internalized now?
Yeah, it was definitely a big monkey off my back for the first win of the season. And it was a really tough one, too, with Renus behind me the whole entire race. I knew that the most important thing was not to make any mistakes. That was the only way he was going to have a chance to get by. So super happy for everyone at Cape Motorsports and Mazda Racing, and thanks to all my supporters.
You know, in calling all your races this year, we kind of looked at Toronto being that kind of turnaround for you. You were getting a good feel for the new PM18 throughout the season, but was it Toronto where you really kind of snapped? Did it feel like that kind of things fell in place?
Yeah, I think the second half of the season we've made big strides, and we're third in the championship now, coming from fifth about mid-season. So we've made a good run here towards the end of the season, and now we're looking towards the off-season, trying to make something happen again for next year.
That's the question. What does the future hold for Oliver Askew? Where are you looking? Are you trying to go back to Pro Mazda, potentially Indy Lights, or you just wait to see what comes?
I'm open to all opportunities at this point. The most important thing for me is to continue my development in the road to Indy. Whether it's Pro Mazda or moving up into Indy Lights, I'd be happy to stay in the series.
We look forward to having you back next year.
Thank you.
Oliver Askew, folks, definitely a guy you want to watch. A great young driver to Jupiter, Florida, won the championship last year at USF 2000. Tremendous run this weekend here in Portland. A winner yesterday. He'll try to back it up today.
Yep, super talented young man, an impressive guy too, Oliver Askew. Big things ahead for him, and wish him the best of luck as he goes racing a little bit later today. Rob Houghton will have that call for those of you watching online on the YouTube streams that we've been on all season long. Thank you so much. This is the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. Just one step below the Verizon IndyCar Series, and we've seen quite an interesting race, Kyle Kaiser. It started off with an opening lap accident in turn number one. Pato O'Ward, one of the drivers that made it through it, and slowly but surely he's charged his way to the front, and now he's got a healthy 2.6 second lead.
Pato is showing why he's earned this championship, and he fought really smart, was patient with Santi defending, and once he made his move and got into the lead, he's really just checked out, to be honest. So good job on his part.
And Jake Query, the guy that hasn't necessarily charged the field like I thought, and it might have to do with the fact that he was involved in that accident, is Colton Herta, who's kind of stuck right there in the fourth spot.
Yeah, and he's got Victor Franzoni, who's done a nice job staying with him. Herta right now, Dave, behind those Belardi teammates. Franzoni runs just behind the 98.
Yeah, Pato O'Ward definitely checking out now as he's followed by Urrutia, Tielitz, and Herta. They're pretty evenly spaced. 2, 3, 4, 5. Call it 3 car lengths in between each one, Nick.
Yeah, where they're not evenly spaced, though, is up front because Pato O'Ward, after clearing Santi Urrutia just a few laps ago, has just been laying down some incredible qualifying style laps. His previous lap at a minute 3.6 just turned a minute 3.7. Ryan Norman's qualifying lap, Kyle, yesterday was at a minute 4.0. So Pato clearly just has an incredible amount of pace in that car.
Pato's kind of reminded me of Will Power's driving style right now. Just go out and turn insanely fast qualifying laps the whole race, and looks like it's going to work for him here.
Steve Whittick, let's talk a little bit about that Verizon IndyCar Series race coming up a little bit later today. Looked like a 2-horse race in the championship, and then Will Power goes and wins at Gateway, and then wins the pole for this race today. Pretty interesting way the championship contenders, the one at the top, Scott Dixon, buried in the middle of the pack. Alexander Rossi starts third. Will Power again on the pole. This is shaping up to be one heck of a race today, and certainly the battle for the championship interesting as well.
Yeah, it really is, Nick. It's going to be a fascinating game of chess today, I think, to see exactly how it all plays out. You've got Scott Dixon, who hasn't really qualified well on any of the natural terrain road courses, but has raced very well on them. And then you've got Will Power up front, who's on a roll. He started in the top 6 in every race. He's had some bad luck, had some mechanical issues, but it's going to be a fascinating and interesting way to see if can Dixon come through the field, and he's got some problems in between. He's got a couple Andretti teammates he's going to have to get by, a couple of he's going to have to get by Newgarden. There's a lot in play there where I think we're going to start to see teammates come into play a lot more now in the championship.
Kyle, it's a 25-car field this weekend in the Verizon IndyCar Series. That's an awesome sign. Scott Dixon starts 11th, and as we've seen all weekend, it doesn't matter what series. That run into turn 1 is just so dangerous, and Scott Dixon's in the middle of a hornet's nest. That's going to be something to watch a little bit later today.
I'd be curious to see if they go 6 wide going into turn 1
I
of that
hope
IndyCar
not.
race. I mean, that would be, I'd hold my breath watching that. But Scott Dixon always seems to do a really great job at keeping the car clean at the beginning of the race. He always sees the bigger picture, having so many starts, having so much experience, and knowing what to do in these races. So it wouldn't shock me to see him maybe play it a little more conservative through that first corner. He's raced on this track before, so he's probably aware of what goes on.
Got a good battle for second. Speaking of the 9 car, how about the 9 in Indy Lights as Aaron Telitz makes the pass on Santi Urrutia. Urrutia, though, charging back to the inside, Jake.
Boy, all of a sudden they started to nearly go side by side through turn number 4. Award is already long checked out. Then just behind him, Telitz. It's about an 18 car length advantage right now for Award. Urrutia was trying to close in on Telitz, but he's got to watch it because he's got both Herta and Franzoni just behind him.
Award, he's in another time zone right now. He's really checked out, but all of a sudden Aaron Telitz likely using some of that push to pass to get around Santiago Urrutia. Call it 4 car lengths back, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here today.
Yep, he's used up nearly all of that push to pass advantage as he only had 1 left. Here towards the end of this race, or I should say about 11 laps to go. So he timed it right to get around Santi Urrutia, and Urrutia now has his hands full with Colton Herta trying to run down that number 5 machine. Those 4 drivers with Franzoni at the tail make their way into turn number 1, and Urrutia will miss the corner. Santi Urrutia just couldn't get that car woed down. He went right through the barriers, Jake. He's going to pop, looks like back into place where he was. Going to be interesting what race control, how they view that incident in turn 1.
And all of a sudden now through turn number 4, again, they started to go side by side. Telitz managed to get the advantage over Urrutia. But I think right now Santi Urrutia's bigger concern may be that duo just behind him, Dave, of Colton Herta. Oh, Franzoni got sideways. That knocked Colton Herta behind him. Both of them go through the grass. Everybody's going to get through, but that's going to allow for Victor Franzoni to get past Colton Herta.
Telitz and Urrutia make their way through. Now Victor Franzoni, now Colton Herta. A lot of dust kicked up, and that number 98 machine's covered in it. Dalton Kellett makes his way through turn 8 now, Nick.
Kyle, what'd you see down there in turn 7?
Looked like a full send for Victor Franzoni going straight to the inside of Colton there, and it's not easy to go too wide through that corner, but yeah, that was some tight racing right there.
That's not been a spot. Again, we talked about how that corner's been widened, and certainly it's a slow corner, which gives drivers an opportunity to try to make a pass, but we haven't seen a lot of that this weekend.
It's a risky passing zone for sure, and I think that's maybe a last lap pass that you would try and pull off for a position, so maybe it was a little early to pull the trigger on that, but luckily both cars are still moving and they're going to be able to finish this race.
Man, the tough thing, Steve, is we had a really nice little 4-car battle shaping up there with wondering how Santi Urrutia was going to hold on after really smoking those tires down in turn number 1, and then Franzoni and Herta get together in turn 7. A little separation now throughout the field.
Yeah, Victor definitely getting a little aggressive there, wanting to put that Soul Red Mazda back up on the podium again for the second day in a row. But that was an interesting move. But yeah, these guys were all running really nose to tail, and now it's a little bit more spread out.
Pato Award is your leader with 8 laps to go, or 9 laps to go, I should say, here at Portland International Raceway. Aaron Telitz runs in the 2nd spot. Santi Urrutia is 3rd. Victor Franzoni 4th. Colton Herta is 5th. And Kyle, you're getting a chance to see the replay here for the first time.
Yeah, he got alongside him there, but I don't know if Colton maybe expected him to throw it in so late. Seemed like a pass that could be done, but you need compliance from the car on the outside for sure. So, like I said, I think that's something you more like to see on the last lap than maybe with 10 laps to go. But he got the pass done. So, give him a little credit there, but maybe a little too aggressive this early on.
Rob Houghton, what's the thoughts in the Andretti Autosport pit right now?
Well, not surprisingly, Nick, a little bit of campaigning going on down here. The crew from Andretti Autosport talking to the officials here from the Mazda Road to Indy. Number one, they don't like the fact that the contact was made, and Franzoni obviously able to stay on track, and Colton Herta going off track. But they're also talking about the fact that Santi Urrutia cut the chicane, not able to get it woed up. Now, you expect he would probably have to give a spot back, but what does he do now? Does he wait all the way back to Franzoni? Right now, a lot of discussions going down here with the Andretti crew and the officials from the Road to Indy.
Yep, kind of interesting call there, Kyle, because Santi did. He just couldn't get that car woed down there into the festival turns.
Yeah, it was interesting because we saw Colton had a run and he was going to the inside for the pass, and it did seem a little unfair that he could take the chicane and come back out in front. So you might see potentially a time penalty after the race. Since now Colton has fallen further back, it wouldn't really be fair to Santi to make him go all the way back to the
One
pack.
thing's for sure is I'm sure those guys at Race Control, they've had plenty to watch considering the start of this race as we're really ending the season on a wild note here at Portland.
Yeah, you could tell that there's really nothing on the line here for these drivers. They're all just going for it and racing very, very hard.
Well, just 7 laps to go here, not only in this final race of the season at Portland International Raceway, but in the season as well. And also, Rob Howden, 7 laps to go in what's been a tremendous partnership that comes to an end this weekend between the Road to Indy and Mazda. And I know you're standing by with a guy that's helped facilitate a lot of incredible opportunities over the years.
No doubt, Nick Yeoman standing by here with Mazda Motorsports' John Doonan. John, we've had a lot of interviews over the last 9 years. Of course, Mazda's been such a great partner for this Road to Indy and the Anderson Promotions crew. Bittersweet day for you guys, I know. You still have your sports car program, but just the thought of how much good you guys have done for open wheel racing here in North America.
Well, it's been an amazing journey, Rob, and it all started out by focusing on drivers and giving them a chance to pursue their dreams, giving them hope. Victor Franzoni said that last year, and then it turned into something even more. Engineers, race teams, people like yourself who got an opportunity, and it's a little tough, but we'll get through it. We'll get the scholarship drivers next year. Really proud of what we've accomplished. The Mazda brand is about giving people a chance to experience our product in a life-changing way, and I think we've changed a lot of lives in this deal.
Pretty obvious to hear and feel your emotion, John. You've been a huge supporter of this program and everybody around here. I know you're going sports car racing, but one of the things you're going to always be able to have is you're going to look at the Indianapolis 500 next year, and you're going to see all these guys that came through this program, and they still have Mazda on their pedigree.
Yeah, it's fantastic when you think about that starting field, even back to this May, when you got 25 drivers that at some point have been touched by the Mazda brand and the opportunity that we presented. It's incredible. Greatest race in the world, and all these young talents from all around the world have come together, and it's really, really cool. And all the executives at Mazda, all of our Mazda fans around the world have noticed what we've done, and we'll always carry that legacy with us. And in the end, you want to be part of making history, and I think we've made history.
John, on behalf of the Road to Indy, the teams, the families, the drivers, the mechanics, thank you so much to you and your staff for everything you've done for us.
Thanks so much, Rob.
Nick Yeoman, there it was. I'm telling you, there's the passion, there's the emotion. John Doonan from Mazda Motorsports.
Yeah, it's just been a fantastic partnership, and one we're sad to see go, but certainly excited for the folks at Mazda as they explore different opportunities. And what a great opportunity now for other automotive companies to now get involved with this Road to Indy. So super excited for the future, and everyone at IndyCar Radio. We want to thank the folks at Mazda as well. We've really enjoyed doing those MX-5 races over the last couple years as well. Down the front straightaway, we're seeing Victor Franzoni let Colton Herta pass to the inside. Kyle, Race Control, took a look at that incident down in turn 7 and told Victor Franzoni, yeah, you need to give that spot up for an overly aggressive maneuver there.
Yeah, it's understandable. It was a very late pass, and there wasn't a lot of room left at the exit there, and he did kind of push him off. So understandable for them to make that call.
Franzoni, though, Steve, has a pretty quick race car, so certainly he's going to be jumping right back into the gas. And I don't think this battle for fourth is necessarily going to go away.
No, I don't think it is either. And now it looks like that twosome is also catching up to Santi very, very quickly. So I think we might have our three-car battle back on the ropes here.
Dave, first, here comes Victor Franzoni. He's looking to the outside.
Takes a look to the outside. Herta protecting to the inside. May have blocked him just a skosh. Just gave him a little right rear tire there, but he'll stay in fourth position.
Yeah, Kyle, there was definitely a little tire smoke there as that got awful tight down there in turn 9.
That scares me, seeing cars go too wide into that corner, because we've seen what happens if you get offline there. So very smart for them to get back to single file going through there on the racing line. But Victor is being very aggressive here, trying to get that spot back.
That's such a fast part of the racetrack as well. Here comes Franzoni. He'll try to gather it back up out of turn number 3. They'll roar towards turn number 4. Really good battle for the fourth position.
Colton Herta right now works his way into turn number 4. Franzoni this time perhaps a little bit more gapped back than he was last. But entering now as they exit 5 and into 6, Franzoni gets a little bit of imbalance in the rear of the race car and allows Colton Herta to get himself a little bit more room. But now it gets closer as they exit turn 7.
all over that rear wing. Victor Franzoni wanting that 4th spot back. Now the gap, I'd call it 4 car lengths. Herta a little more cleanly off turn 7, now into turn 9.
Yeah, Herta gets a nice charge down the back straightaway and gaps Franzoni by about 4 or 5 car lengths. That lets our attention shift towards the front of the field and towards our champion, Pato O'Ward, who sees 2 laps to go here at Portland. The lead, Jake Query, is 7.4 seconds for Pato O'Ward.
He has been so good over the course of the season. We talked about it yesterday. Colton Herta had the incident in Toronto with the thumb injury that caused him to have to sit out, and that all of a sudden got separation in the points championship. Dave, the reality is Pato O'Ward just kept doing his own thing, maintained consistency. He's looking to sweep here at Portland.
It's a small field, granted, but his worst finish this year has been a 7th. His worst start, 7th here at Portland International Raceway. Pato O'Ward has been the class of this field all season long. Makes you wonder how good he's going to be in the Verizon IndyCar Series.
Yeah, boy, after claiming the championship yesterday, you wondered how could he top it. This may be one of the best drives he's had all season, avoiding that first lap accident, coming from the 7th position, and now he will see the white flag. Final lap of the season here in the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. Pato O'Ward, your 2018 champion. Just a couple more corners, one more lap to go. Jake Query, let's bring him home. Pato O'Ward for the final time here at Portland.
He is only a quarter of the way through his 19th year on the planet, but Pato O'Ward in Indy Lights here in his first year has been sensational. Little bit loose through turn number 5, now very clean through turn number 6. Dave first, here comes the leader for you, Pato O'Ward out of turn number 7.
Some of the final turns of the season. Where is the time? Got a long journey that began in the streets of St. Pete. Remember, it all started with that impressive pole position for Aaron Thielen. Since then, a championship run for Pato O'Ward. Flashes of brilliance from Colton Herta. And hold on, one more fantastic memory. The 19-year-old from Monterrey, Mexico, Pato O'Ward, heading your way, Nick Yeoman.
We could be very well witnessing the start of something really special. Out of the final corner, Pato O'Ward's going to sweep the weekend en route to a championship. He will win the race here at Portland International Raceway to cap off the season. Pato O'Ward, your 2018 Indy Lights champion, picks up the win here in race number 2. He's going to go down to the festival curves and pump those fists. Maybe little donuts. Yep, I think so. Some donuts from our champion, Pato O'Ward. And he might have just stuffed it in. No, I thought he jumped on the brakes. I thought he was going to stuff it in the tire barriers, though, Kyle Kaiser. But, boy, what a fantastic run to come from 7th as Pato O'Ward picks up yet another win in Indy Lights.
He's getting really close to that barrier
Making us
there.
nervous a little bit,
these donuts, but man, what a great win for him and amazing drive.
Aaron Thielen comes home in the 2nd position. Santi Urrutia finishes 3rd. Colton Herta ends up 4th. Victor Franzoni is 5th. Heeman Choi will end up in the 6th position. Dalton Kellett 7th. Ryan Norman 8th. Steve Wittick, there's not going to be much left of those Cooper tires on that 27 machine, and why not? He's done. Final race of the year in the championship.
Exactly. Those are Zanardi-esque donuts there. I'm very impressed. He smoked the crowd down there in the festival turns, and now he's making his way back around, and I'm sure he'll be the Andretti crew will be very happy to greet him. That was one heck of a drive from 7th place.
A 9th win of the season. Just an incredible year for Pato O'Ward as he caps off the championship campaign with 2 wins here at Portland International Raceway. He actually won 4 of the last 5 races. So to win a championship, Kyle, you got to get hot at the right time. And he and Colton Herta were neck and neck through most of the first 2/3 of this season. But there was no doubt about it who the best driver and best team was here at the end of the season. And Pato's not done with some of those donuts. He's treating all the fans here at Portland to some pastries this morning.
That is great that he's doing it for every fan in every corner here. Very special for him.
Steve Wittick, Trackside Online, will get you out of here. Give us a little taste of what you're working on. You've already started teasing what we may see here in Sonoma, but certainly great work by you and your entire crew all season long.
Yeah, we'll start working on some Road to Indy silly season stuff here soon. I think you'll see a few new Indy Lights teams. I think that grid will grow next year. I know I've heard of some interesting European names that have talked about maybe making the move back or coming over to America. There's a couple drivers here this weekend taking a look at Indy Lights, so I think you're definitely going to see that series grow. And same with USF 2000 and Pro Mazda. I think everything's looking in the right direction for all those series. It's a great training ground. People like Kyle, made it to IndyCar because of the Road to Indy.
Of course, the open wheel off season is a super long one, so folks want to make sure that they check out Trackside Online all off season to get the scoops on those stories. Tell us where they can go to subscribe and get all that information.
You can go to tracksideonline.com. You can subscribe to the IndyCar news, $22 a year, best deal you're ever going to get. You go to tsoladder.com where we have all the Road to Indy news, all for free. I just want to thank you for having me on so much this season. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Really enjoyed having you here for a lot of these race twos. Let's hear from some of the competitors. Dan Ruzanowski, you're standing by with Aaron Telitz.
Aaron Telitz, a great day for Bilardi. You fill out 2/3 of the podium. Give me your thoughts from the second position.
Yeah, it was a hectic start. Looks like people were really trying to all win it on the first corner there, the last race of the season. So a bit of hecticness, managed to come out in first place, and then Santi got around me on a couple laps after the restart, and that slowed me up, so Pato got around me, and then Pato just had a ridiculously good car today. I don't think Santi and I had anything for him, and then getting back around Santi for second place, but Bilardi on the podium, that's a good thing.
You had a view of the move that Pato made to get by Santi. I mean, Santi's a good defender, but you can't really stop that.
No, I mean, Santi did a great job defending, I thought. He did about as good a job as he could do, and Pato just was really confident this whole weekend. Obviously, this whole season he has been, and he just threw it up there and made it stick.
Give me your thoughts about just the general feeling as the season comes to an end for the team. Obviously, finishing out with a 2-3 spot is pretty good.
Absolutely. It's been a tough year for us. We had a rough start to the season in St. Pete, myself, with a huge crash, and then we've had a lot of up and down weekends. So to at least end on a high here with both our cars on the podium feels good.
Well done.
Thanks.
Aaron Telitz joining us, the second place finisher. And now we're going to have a chat, I think, with the third place finisher, Santi Urrutia. You learn a lot of things when you're on the circuit, but it came down to Pato just having a great car today. But what was the feeling from the first position when that move happened?
I mean, I was first just because my teammate did a mistake, and then I just have no speed to fight for the race. And I'm glad to finish the season with a podium for Bilardi, both cars in the podium. So, Fortabile didn't have the speed to win the race and to fight for the championship, but congrats to Pato. He did a great job, Andretti guys and everyone. And thank you to all my sponsors from Uruguay, Brian, all the team that worked really hard this season. So let's see, I work hard right now in off season to see what I can do next year.
Very proud of you.
Thank you very much.
That is Santi Urrutia, who finished number 3, 2/3 of the podium filled out by Bilardi.
Appreciate that, Dan Ruzanowski. A great job by Aaron Telitz and Santi Urrutia today, and wish those drivers both the best of luck, whether they're back in Indy Lights next year or wherever they go. And certainly for all these drivers, whether they're back in Indy Lights next year or not, want to wish them the best because it's been a lot of fun watching them all year long. Kyle Kaiser, really enjoyed having you as our driver analyst here the last couple races of the season. Give some folks an opportunity to where they can follow you on social media, and certainly where sponsors can get involved, because I know that those plans for 2019, you're already super heavy into the mix of trying to shore up plans for next season.
Yeah, of course. You can follow me on Instagram or my Twitter. It's at Kyle K Racing. And yeah, always looking for partners or people to get involved. The Verizon IndyCar Series is definitely on the up and up lately. There's been some amazing races we've seen this year. And Juncos Racing is a newer team, but we're learning quite a bit and getting up to speed. So I'd love to find partners and any sponsors who would love to get involved for next year.
Really appreciate having you in here. And final thoughts on the feeling Pato Award must be going through right now, because it's one you know very well, holding that Indy Lights championship right there in Victory Lane.
It's an unforgettable feeling and very well deserved. He drove so amazingly all year, never really faltered, especially towards the end of the season when it's the time to get hot. So very happy for him, and I think there's going to be a bright future for him in the Verizon IndyCar Series for sure.
Yep, there's no doubt about it, as he wins the championship by 44 points over Colton Herta and Rob Howden. He caps it off in spectacular fashion, a 9th win and a championship for Patricio Award.
Pato holding on to this big trophy here right now. You're the champion, and you won it in style. Talk about putting an exclamation point on the end of the season. Talk about that race and that great move on Santi Urrutia.
It was I told all my pit crew, I said, this is going to be an exciting race. I knew in the start I was just going to be a little cautious because I knew people were going all out. It was going to be a free-for-all. And it was like 6 wide. And I don't even know how many cars were going into turn 1, but only half of those could fit. So we came out in third after that big collection in turn one, and then I knew I had the fastest car, so I just had to pick them off one by one, and that Masanti was making it hard, man. He was making it so hard for me to get by. But I faked him a little bit, and then I stuck the nose in, and that was it. We were far ahead in the end.
Hey, talk about the emotions on that last lap. You did some donuts, a little smoke show for the fans out there. How were you feeling driving around that final circuit?
I'm so proud of the team. I would really want to thank Andretti and my family for all the support that they gave me all year, and especially Michael, JF, Rob. They've given me such a warm welcome to the team, and it is an honor to be able to represent their team in the Indy Lights, and hopefully I get to do it in the Verizon IndyCar Series 1 year, and it's been awesome. I really don't know what to feel. I was reading all the texts people were sending me yesterday, and it's really special. I'm really, really grateful for everybody that has believed in me, and let's go IndyCar racing.
Indy 500 next year. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Nick Yeoman, there he is, your champion Indy Lights for 2018 Patricio Award.
Yep, a fantastic season for Patricio Award, and he caps it off with a 9th victory. Congratulations to him and that Andretti Autosport crew. We've reached the end of the season, the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. Lots of folks to thank. Obviously, here on the network, all the talent that's been on air today. That includes Dan Ruzanowski and Rob Howden. Out on the course, Dave First and Jake Query. Really want to thank Steve Wittick for his work all season, along with Anders Krohn and Kyle Kaiser this weekend. All the folks behind the scenes here with the radio network, our general manager Wally Levitt, on site with Rick Evans, back in Indianapolis with Chris Pollock and Paul Levitt. Their hard work has been fantastic, and certainly everyone with Anderson Promotions, Mazda, that make this thing work. It's been a lot of fun watching some of these drivers and their dreams come true over the years. So a great job by Pato Ward. Looking forward to seeing him in the IndyCar season, and we're looking forward to talking to you at St. Pete next year for the 2019 Indy Lights campaign. From Portland International, my name's Nick Yeoman, and congratulations to Andretti Autosport and driver Pato Ward, the 2018 champions of the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires.
This is IndyCar Radio on the IMS Radio Network.
White flag is in the hands of Paul Blevins. He's waiting to see Alexander Rossi come out of turn number 4. Tom Hansing is in the stand with him, but there he goes. And Danny, he may be out of fuel. Making very slow in turn 1.
He is indeed. It doesn't sound like he's underpowered. Left side wheels.
Of the 2018 season, the Mazda Road to Indy, creating the future generation of Verizon IndyCar Series drivers. So, folks, seriously, it's a beautiful day here in Portland. Not a cloud in the sky. Sit down and take in 2 more rounds of very exciting Mazda Road to Indy racing. Again, coming up first, the Pro Mazda Grand Prix of Portland, presented by Cooper Tires, followed by USF 2000. Mazda Road to Indy racing coming up next.
And as Tony said, folks, we are still racing here this afternoon. If you don't want to get yourself into the traffic trying to get out of this racetrack, grab yourself another cold beer, something cold to drink. Grab piece of the grandstands, and again, you're going to get a chance to see the next generation of the Verizon IndyCar Series. Pro Mazda set to go, second rung of this Road to Indy ladder system. Let's have a look at the drivers as they get set to go 2 minutes before we fire things up. Road number 4 on the outside, Moises de Oliveira out of Mexico, and the number 12 for D-Force Racing starting in the 8th position. Alongside him, the Russian-born L.A. resident Nikita Listoshkin in the number 8 for Cape Motorsports. De Oliveira and Listoshkin on row number 4. Moving to row number 3 on the outside from Payette, Idaho, in the yellow-black team, Pelfrey number 82, it's Stingray Robb starting in the 6th position. Inside of that row from New York for Juncos Racing, the number 9 of Robert McGuinness. Moving to the second row, starting 4th on the outside, 3 times a winner here this year, the Canadian from Red Deer, Alberta, in the number 90 for Exclusive Autosport, currently your runner-up driver in the points, Parker Thompson, starting in the 4th position. In third spot, starting on the inside of row number 2, winner from yesterday. He's going to try to step things up and make it 2 for 2 here in Portland from Jupiter, Florida for Cape Motorsports, last year's USF 2000 champion, Oliver Askew in the number 3, starting in the 3rd position. 8 drivers in the field. We'll put 2 on the front row. Off pole, double winner at Road America, trying to get another victory here to cap off his rookie season in Pro Mazda. In the BN Racing, number 79 from Chicago, Illinois, it's David Malukas. Driver on the pole position, though, a lot of weight off his shoulders now. Was able to secure the championship yesterday. He'll be running in Indy Lights in 2019, piloting the Jumbo sponsor. Number 2 for Juncos Racing, out of the Netherlands, your pole sitter, Rinus VK. Ladies and gentlemen, 8 drivers set to fire up these 280 horsepower Mazda MZR power plants. And joining me here on pit lane to give me the command, one of our guests from Mazda, Mike Hill.
Drivers, start your Mazda engines.
And there you go, firing things up. 8 drivers in Pro Mazda set to go. Let's send it back to the booth. And Michael Young.
Thank you, Rob Howden. As you see, pit out the field of 8 cars. Final race of the season for the Pro Mazda Series. Field near to be away. Parker Thompson there. Number 9 of Robert McGuinness behind him. The 82, the Pelfrey entry of Stingray Robb. Nikita Listoshkin right behind he. Moises de Oliveira will round out this 8-car field. De Oliveira, an incident yesterday early in the race, took him out. Back ready to work his way through the field this afternoon. Fields away as we get set for the final race of the 2018 season for the Pro Mazda Championship, presented by Cooper Tire. Rinus VK, as Rob Howden had said, will be the reigning champion for 2018, and he will move on to Indy Lights for 2019. David Malukas, a nice battle yesterday as he finished in the 4th position, finds himself second in the starting order today. Oliver Askew, yesterday's winner, will start on the inside of row 3. Parker Thompson on the outside, of row 2, and Parker Thompson on the outside. Expect big moves from both of those drivers as they were very quick yesterday. Expect them to be very quick today. So the field works their way through the opening corners of the track, now down into turn number 7. We will see the pace car pull away, and the field will begin to form in rows of 2 as they make their way down through turn number 8 and then into turn number 9. They will get the green flag this time by. Again, Rinus VK, our Pro Mazda champion, will bring the field down. Has the pole for both races this weekend. Won yesterday from the pole and has the pole again today. Can he repeat the feat? David Malukas alongside Askew, Thompson, row 2, McGuinness, Robb, row 3, Listoshkin, De Oliveira, row 4, as they make their way down into turn number 10. The field is in line. They'll make that left-hander, then make it back to the right-hander, and here with the call of the start of this final Pro Mazda race of the season, the voice of this Mazda Road to Indy program, Rob Howden.
Thank you so much, Michael Young. Indeed, these young drivers have developed so much over the last 6 months as the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg opener in March, and they are getting set to go. VK and Malukas in the front row. Drivers ready to go. We're at it. Green, green, green. One of our guests from Mazda throwing that green flag coming across the start finish. Let's go 2, 3, 4. How about 5 wide to turn number 1? Are they going to make it through? Good job so far. Drivers getting through cleanly. Parker Thompson on the inside there ends up in the 4th spot. Some aggressive running into that corner, but Michael, guys giving each other some room.
It was interesting. David Malukas kind of was like the meat in the sandwich, and he got squeezed out into the lead. A nice opening turn for David Malukas as we see Rinus VK in the 2nd position.
You know, interesting. Last race of the year. Championship's already locked in. Parker Thompson's already locked into that second spot. It looks like there is a bit of damage. That might have been, I want to say, Moises de Oliveira, I think, the tail of the field. That looks like a blue number 12 winglet. But you got to think these guys coming into the final race, final corner, let's keep the budget down. Let's not get another invoice from the parts trailer to have to rebuild a car in the final race. Let's get going, go racing. And David Malukas with the lead. The Chicago, Illinois resident out front, double winner at Road America, now leads Renus VK.
Yeah, Parker Thompson tried to make that move 3 wide, and he got punted back as Robert McGinnis was able to take that 4th place spot away as they file in the field down the front straightaway for the first time. And David Malukas already out to nearly a 1 second advantage, 0.84 seconds for David Malukas. It's VK Askew on the charge with Robert McGinnis.
Oh, I like this battle right now. Parker Thompson fell back to the 5th position, but remember, he has shown really good speed here this weekend. Parker very wise. Again, we talked about him kind of on a limited budget, the end of the season. He'll be working through all the offseason for the 6 months till we get back to the racetrack, Michael, trying to see if he can find the money to keep going, whatever he ends up doing. We are seeing a driver coming into pit lane. That's looks like 82. That is going to be Stingray Robb. Right rear damage, I believe. Moises de Oliveira coming in. They're going to try to get a front wing put on that car. So a little bit of damage from the opening race, but back to Parker Thompson. He saw the chaos going into turn number 1. He could see it happening, checked out a bit, started 4th, ends up in 5th. Watch for him to move forward. But again, when you've had a rough season like he has, again, not wanting a damaged race car here to cap the season.
No, that'd be the last thing that he wanted, a 30-lap event, and he knows he has plenty of time and a plenty fast race car to make up any potential ground that he would potentially lose here on the first lap. But boy, as we see problems with Parker.
Thompson to pit lane. Parker Thompson coming to pit lane. Locked the brakes up a little bit coming in there. I don't know what happened. Parker Thompson has brought the number 90 exclusive Autosport machine into pit lane. You know, Michael, I'm wondering whether Parker wanted to just park the car. He's got second place locked up. Do you get yourself in trouble? He was getting closed up a little bit there. Nikita Listoshkin was coming in. It seems to me like he just slowed up on the last lap and wanted to park the thing. I want to know whether it's a mechanical or whether he just said enough was enough.
That's one of those situations. We saw him lose ground to 4th place running Robert McGinnis, and as he peeled off turn number 12, as you said, just took it down into pit lane. So that will leave David Malukas with a big gap, that 0.8 of a second advantage over Renus VK, the series champion. Oliver Askew, our winner yesterday, runs 3rd. Robert McGinnis 4th. Nikita Listoshkin, the only car remaining on this track, he runs P5.
To update everyone, Stingray Robb in the number 82 still in pit lane. Potential right rear damage, suspension damage to the Team Pelfrey number 82. Moises de Oliveira, as we said, in as well. I think he got into the back of Stingray Robb and everybody locked it up coming into turn number 1. Damage there. Not sure if there's any damage for Parker Thompson. We'll try to find out for you and give you an update. In fact, it looks like Thompson potentially back out on the racetrack. Thompson, I think, back out on track. Probably only about maybe a second and a bit in front of the leaders. Here he is coming through turns number 3, 4, and 5, and I'm being told flat right rear for Parker Thompson. So, again, all that chaos early on, they were able to get that tire changed. Parker's going to stay on track. I would expect he'll let the leaders come back by here soon. Or maybe keep pushing and try to hope for a full course yellow.
Yeah, one of those slow leaks. Those are your biggest nemesis as he makes his way down pit lane, able to make it back out in front of the field. He will not go a lap down. He'll stay on the lead lap, so certainly will need a caution to get back into contention, but a very long race.
I want to say kudos to the exclusive Autosport team. They get him in there, able to make the rear tire change and get him back out, not losing a lap. Now, again, we'll see what kind of speed he has. David Malukas has been dropping great lap times. They may get on the radio and say, hey, listen, let's not play around here. But Parker's shown good speed. We'll watch lap times as they work their way back around here to see whether or not Parker's going to be able to maintain that little gap that he does have now. Malukas, again, resets fast lap. Then VK does it. He'll return the favor. Those drivers now into the 108.6s. 108.8 for Oliver Askew. Again, a win yesterday for Oliver in the Soul Red Mazda power plant, our Mazda race car, the beautiful livery, the Soul Red color that Mazda puts on all their scholarship winners race cars. And it'll be sad to see those cars go. Obviously, we'll see we may see Soul Red still next year because there's still Mazda scholarship drivers that will be coming through the shootout, which they'll have in December. Top young drivers in F1600 series and other programs around the country and around the world coming in to shoot out for $200,000. Of course, scholarship for the driver in USF 2000, Kyle Kirkwood, moving to Pro Mazda. And, of course, Pro Mazda Rinus VK moving to Indy Lights.
Yeah, indeed. And what Mazda has done to this program has just been amazing, what they've been able to accomplish. I don't like to say goodbye. We'll see you down the road.
That's what I said to John Duna when I interviewed him on IndyCar Radio. I said, you never know. Life goes full circle sometimes. So does motorsports. You'll see at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. You'll see a team come in, and they're gone for 10 years. They come back to win again. So you never know, because there just is that passion for motorsports between Mazda and all its staff. And I would be surprised to see things come full circle, as you said.
David Malukas still that 8/10 second advantage over Rinus VK. Rinus just set the fastest lap of the race, minute 8:39.77. Oliver Askew starting to close in a little bit on the rear wing of Rinus VK to make that a battle for second. Here's the start again, Rob Howden.
Now, coming into the corner, you can see Malukas locking up the left front. Parker Thompson got an amazing jump. He was on the outside, VK to the inside. Parker, of course, not able to roll that much speed. I think he was hoping to try to come through. Let's see who gets into the back. Oh, I wanted that to go just a little longer.
I bet it was Robert McGinnis.
I want to know, that might have been McGinnis from behind.
It would had to have been.
Yeah. We'll look at that driver right behind him. I think as they worked their way in there, Parker was trying to get back across. Okay, here's that shot again. You can see Parker Thompson really rolling the speed in. VK all the way to the inside. Malukas is locking up the right front. Who's that driver coming into the back? Yeah, that's indeed McGinnis. I think McGinnis' wing is probably going to get... they're going to the outside. You can see Parker kind of getting that car rotating around. I don't know if McGinnis was any contact.
I don't see
We're
any
not done yet, though.
there.
Let's keep that rolling. Keep that rolling.
Well, that may have happened further down the road.
Yeah.
Well, Stingray Robb and Moises de Oliveira are already damaged from that incident. We see Moises de Oliveira's end fence already gone. That's interesting. Maybe ran over debris.
I just want to tell you this. We talked about being, last race of the year.
Right.
Calm down. You don't want to wreck anything. No, we're 3 wide, locking up the brakes over the curb.
Why wouldn't we?
We started that way. Let's end that way. What a start that was. You could see everybody trying to pounce on David Malukas, and that's one of the things about being a pole starter. Sometimes you're the sitting duck. You get out there with enough speed, everybody else is behind you. They're getting that draft. They're going to try to outbreak you, and that's what that was. Parker Thompson was around the outside. I think he needed just a little more rotation coming through, get the car, maybe to trail brake a little more. Couldn't quite get the job done. Of course, he gets that flat tire. Now he's got David Malukas up the rear wing.
Yeah, and Parker Thompson trying to stay on the lead lap, but I think the entire front row started to lock him up at brake marker 200 feet out. They were locked up through, and Parker did a nice job, just couldn't make that turn through the curbing and get himself back inside. So however it happened, he had a punctured tire, and now David Malukas will put Parker Thompson one lap down. Smart move.
Class act.
Yep.
Class act. Parker Thompson sees it, doesn't overcook it, just holds the outside line. Malukas rolls in, Parker back on the throttle. Little drop of the wheel on the exit of turn number 3 for your leader, David Malukas. We've seen that a lot this weekend. That's a tough part of this racetrack. You're trying to roll so much speed coming out of turn number 3 over to 4. You drop a wheel there. We saw Pato O'Ward go off in qualifying for race 2. He was ended up in the wall. That's the precarious part of this racetrack.
And it's far more dramatic looking than it actually is. Boy, it looks like a dust storm when they kick it up. How about the start of that IndyCar race? Scott Dixon couldn't even see. That's how bad that dust gets when they drop a wheel here.
Indeed, I had a chance to talk to Marco Andretti when he came back, and he said, man, it was just a wild ride. He was trying to stay out of the way. Hinchcliffe was having a bit of trouble, and there was just nowhere to go. Like you said, he went up and over. Luckily, obviously, Marco was fine, able to get back and scoot back on the scooter to the trailer. But, turn 3, the exit of the corner. I'll tell you, if you're behind the wheel, it's a wild ride because that's not what you want to do. You're trying to get forward bite over to turn number 4, and you can see the car. He just gets so tail happy the minute you drop a wheel.
And then you get that understeer pushing out, then it gets tail happy, and you've got a handful of car when that happens to you.
Look what we got going on here. Parker Thompson, who let David Malukas by, running very consistently now in the second position on track. Obviously not second overall. He gave some room, but he's running some pretty good lap times right now. And you can see that VK actually, because of this, now has Oliver Askew closing up. Askew was 6/10 of a second faster last time by. Oliver Askew, yesterday's winner, has closed it up to 8/10 of a second behind the driver now in second position.
Yeah, I think Oliver Askew may just ride around for a little while and see how this plays out as Parker Thompson exits turn number 7. Looked like he may have checked up ever so slightly as Rinus VK starts to close in. He will not be able to get in touch with Parker Thompson, but potentially down the front straightaway, and I would imagine Parker will do the same as he did for David Malukas and allow Oliver Askew and hopefully, VK, but hopefully Oliver Askew by 2 so that we can keep this nice battle going on.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here with Parker Thompson again. For him to try to cap off this season, was trying to go for a win or a podium. Got the podium yesterday, but here's a young driver who has been so impressive over the last number of years. Came in to USF 2000 a couple of years ago. He was a single car team running with JDC Motorsports. He was so consistent, lots of top 5s. Just learning what it was like to be in USF 2000. Made the move to Cape Motorsports the next year. He and Anthony Martin faced off on one of those Cape Motorsports teammate duels, both winning multiple races. It wasn't until a puncture in, I think, the second or third race at Mid-Ohio, Martin was able to sweep, get all the victories, and that kind of derailed the championship battle for Parker Thompson. He was done. No money. What's he going to do? He ends up hooking up with Michael Duncalf from Exclusive Auto Sport. This is when we brought the new USF 17 in. And Michael said, I have a 1600 team. I want to go 2-liter racing, but I need a driver. I can't just go in here with a rookie and try to figure out these cars out. Brings Parker in. They're able to win a bunch of races, finish 3rd overall in the championship. He comes back, does the same thing. We're going Pro Mazda racing. Parker, you're my guy. Michael Duncalf puts him in the seat. They won 3 races at the start of the season. Everything fell off the cart. The wheels just completely fell off in Toronto, and they've struggled ever since. But I'll tell you, Parker Thompson has made his impact on the road to Indy. And maybe even more importantly, the officials at Cooper Tires and Mazda and Anderson Promotions. This guy, they call it a 3-tool player in sports, whatever it may be. This guy has it all when it comes to being a professional race car driver.
And you talk about last year, what they went through. That was an entire learning process. He, the team, everything was a learning process. I'm not quite so sure if you throw any other driver into the cockpit of that car that they would have had the same results that they had last year.
I will guarantee that right now, because if you knew what was happening within the team itself, they come out, they struggle a little bit. They actually had a very good debut at St. Petersburg, but they struggled with a couple of the races. There were some issues with the car they had to get figured out. Once they did, it clicked. They were able to get good, but it was Parker Thompson and his maturity, and he kind of rallied the team. I remember being told that at one point they had a rough outing, whatever it may be, and then they were going to Toronto with the next event, and Parker sat everybody down in the trailer and said, guys, don't worry. We're coming together. We're going to make this happen. And here's this young guy, 18 years of age, rallying his team together. Man, he stepped it up, and they were able to come on strong.
Well, Oliver Askew trying to get around Rinus VK. Will he take a look to the inside this time by? No, he will not. But as you can see, Rob Howden, that gap down to 2 car lengths into turn number 2.
Yeah, you know what? The word we use a lot in this road to Indy is momentum, and we also use confidence. And the momentum of yesterday's win for Oliver Askew, he has been busting his hump all year long, trying to find the speed, trying to learn this PM18, and just trying to see if he could battle against this Juncos team and this Exclusive Autosport team. He ends up winning yesterday and really didn't put a wheel wrong, and that's the confidence he now has in himself and his team. It's at the end of the season, came on late, that happens, but the momentum right now, he knows he can best Rinus VK. Watch for a pass here sometime. If he has the speed to do it, he'll be aggressive in turn 1.
And I like the fact that he didn't get defeated himself, because he was having a very rough season. A lot of people questioning, well, what's wrong with Oliver Askew? He's not having the success. Clearly, he's not as good as we thought he was. And it's sometimes very easy to allow those words of reporters or the people around you to sink in, and he's kind of pushed that aside, and I think he finally showed what we knew was still there, that potential to get a victory, and he made it happen yesterday.
The talent is there. There's no doubt about it, right? And it's confidence, as you said. You start feeling down on yourself. You're hearing people telling you maybe it's just not suiting you, whatever it may be. It's one of the things that I hate seeing in these ladder system programs, and that's drivers who get in, they run the first 6 or 7 races, whatever it may be. They're not getting the results they want, and they quit. They say, well, I'm not gonna run the rest of the season, and that they're just hampering their own development. They need to see it out. You need to finish the races. If you want to come back next year, run every race so that you know Portland, so that you know Gateway, so that you know Mid-Ohio. If you haven't raced them before, you're going to come back, you're still going to be behind the 8 ball for all these committed drivers who finished off the season and kept pushing even when the chips were down.
You said it, and I've heard it a million times. Success breeds success,
Yeah.
and if you don't give yourself that opportunity for success, you will never grow as a driver. And right now, Oliver Askew starting to make himself known to Rinus VK, really filling up those mirrors out of turn number 12.
The other thing, too, we'll watch this battle as they come down the front straightaway. You learn more from your failures than you do your successes, and that's key. Here comes Askew right up on the gearbox. Let's see if we get a move. No, it's a deep move to the inside. Look at the block move to the inside for Rinus VeeKay. That's not a block move. That's a nice defensive run to the inside. He kept his inside line coming into turn number 1. And I'll tell you, Oliver Askew will go to school on that now. He'll have a look at it. Okay, you defended to the inside. I'll be ready for that next time. He'll come with them, stay on the draft, stay on the rear wing, and then he'll move to go to the outside.
The unfortunate thing, Oliver Askew, I don't think thrown off by it, but it set himself up for a poorer entry into turn number 1, and he lost touch with Rinus VeeKay ever so slightly. I think if he had to do it over again, he would have allowed himself a better entry into turn number 1 and wouldn't have lost that gap.
Well, it was the first opportunity for that pass. He was right there. VeeKay was defending. Why not just stay to the outside and then make that big run to the inside to make sure you got a better run through turn 1 over to turn 2. Now, lots of time still left to go. 17 laps remaining in this 30-lapper. Remember, folks, if you're in the grandstands enjoying yourself, you got a cold beer or something, still USF 2000 to come. Don't worry about the traffic right now. Don't get in the car. You're just going to be in a big lineup. Hang out, enjoy yourself. Watch these future stars of the Verizon IndyCar Series. Pro Mazda on the track right now, 16 laps to go. USF 2000, the youngest drivers on the Mazda Road to Indy, up next.
And you will hear every one of these names in 2019 when the open wheel cars return to Portland International Raceway. Malukas, obviously, VeeKay will go. Indy Lights Racing, Oliver Askew, Robert McGinnis, Listoshkin, Thompson, De La Vera, Rob, they'll all be back next year.
Yeah, we want to see these guys back either in Pro Mazda or making the jump up to Indy Lights. And again, these teams coming in here really with a clean sheet of paper. Everyone that was here, whether you're a team or even a driver, now you have the experience of running these race cars at this track and hoping to eventually find your way into that main event, because that IndyCar race at the end was fun to watch. I was once they let Ryan Hunter-Reay loose after saving some fuel, I thought with some push to pass we might see a battle at the very end, but Takuma Sato, so good.
Yes, he was. Brian Hunter-Reay had actually said they had a little miscommunication on the box, and he thought there was a caution out, and it was actually just a local. So they went flat out and should have probably held back a little bit. I know Ryan was very disappointed in that finish, but when Takuma Sato is on and that team is on, it's hard to stop them. And I know it's only been his third career win for Sato, but when it's your day, it's your day. And I said to Sebastian Bourdais, you have to be shocked to be up here. And he said, at the way the race opened up, he's all wadded up into James Hinchcliffe and tore his car up yesterday. A fun race, all in all, and really great to see all these great Portland fans staying here and enjoying it today.
You know, you look at your resume after you've won a bunch of races, and you said Takuma Sato's really only won 3 races, but he's won on the street circuit at Long Beach. He won the Indianapolis 500 on the oval, and now he has a natural terrain road course win here at Portland. That's a pretty nice little trio. You've won everywhere. That's all 3 disciplines. That's a solid little resume.
It certainly is. And again, his season had changed. He was with Andretti Autosport, moving over to Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing, and that team has really had a tough go of it in 2018. And talk about a nice boost to that team and that driver, and for Graham Rahal going into Sonoma, them to be able to come home with a victory, a much-needed win. And congratulations to Takuma Sato and Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing.
No doubt about it. But again, all these drivers you're seeing here to cap off this weekend at the Grand Prix of Portland, all wanting to be in one of those seats in the next couple of years. And we've watched so many of our graduates work their way to the Verizon IndyCar Series, filling up the grid spots at the Indianapolis 500. And which one of these drivers are going to be there? That's what you're seeing on the racetrack now, the future of the Verizon IndyCar Series. It's a 3.6-second lead now for David Malukas. Rinus VeeKay running in second. Oliver Askew in that third spot. Nikita Listoshkin now up to fourth. Robert McGinnis has headed to pit lane. An issue with McGinnis in the Juncos Racing number 9. That'll potentially bump Parker Thompson up another spot to P5.
Pretty impressive last lap for Oliver Askew. He was quick out there, minute 8:05:39, and he has closed in again on the rear wing of Rinus VeeKay as he starts to take a look to the inside.
We may see a battle. They'll come to the chicane, turn 10, 11, and 12. I'll tell you, Parker Thompson, he must be beating the chest right now. Here I am running P2. You guys can't run me down. This is the speed I have. This is him making a statement, no doubt about that. Here comes the run down the front straightaway again. Oliver Askew has methodically worked his way back up onto the gearbox again. Does he look to the inside coming into the braking zone? Ooh, little block move there. A knife to the apex for Rinus VeeKay. I'll tell you, Oliver Askew will find that very interesting. Of course, going to school the whole time. Michael coming into turn 3, 4, 5, 6. This tough corner, the right-hand sweeper. Put Oliver Askew on the Gearbox Arenas VK.
VK had that back end wiggle on him as he exited turn number 2. That allowed Oliver Askew to close in on that rear wing. Askew had to lay back a little bit or he would have run over Arenas VK. Let's see if he can get a nice run out of turn number 7. This is where he made up all the ground last time by, although about a 3-car length disadvantage for Oliver Askew over Arenas VK.
We'll see if they're able to get that good run through. Askew trying to get through that chicane, which of course sets up for the run down the straightaway. He's within a couple of lengths. We'll use a couple of words that the drivers like to say. Let's see if he sends it down in turn number 1. Or if you pull a turn from Parker Thompson, let's see if he will risk it for the biscuit. That's Parker Thompson's line.
We can use that.
Risk it for the biscuit. Not quite close enough this time. About 4 car lengths as they come across start-finish. I like the pressure that Askew's putting on him. That's what we see all the time, right, Michael? If you can't make the pass, make sure you fill his mirrors. Stay to the right side one time down into turn number 1. Maybe you go to the left side next time. Make sure you have that guy in front of you thinking every time, pushing to the edge, because all it takes is that one little mistake. You drop a wheel, and you're ready to pounce.
Yep, past the halfway mark. As a matter of fact, 3 laps past the halfway mark, 12 remaining in the final race of the 2018 campaign for the second rung of the Mazda Road to Indy program, the Pro Mazda Championship presented by Cooper Tire, as Oliver Askew trying to run down series champion Arenas VK. That's the battle for second position.
Falling off a little bit now. Back to about 6 or 7 car lengths. I wonder if he kind of tacks those Cooper tires a little bit, maybe pushing a little over the setup of the race car. We do talk about the fact these Coopers are so good and so consistent from start to finish. We normally see some of the fastest laps of the race near the very end when the fuel loads start to go down. The car, of course, getting a lot lighter, able to go a bit quicker. Parker Thompson running second on the racetrack, but he is indeed 5th overall. But again, making a statement saying, hey guys, I can run with you. I'm running really good lap times here. In fact, probably a little bit quicker than the leader right now. He did a 108.4, no, a 10th off the leader. That last time by.
Yeah, David Malukas has checked out, but Parker Thompson doing a fantastic job. And as long as Oliver Askew's there giving Arenas VK fits, I don't think he's going to have much of an issue with Arenas VK closing in on that rear wing. Oliver Askew trying to take away that second place position from Arenas VK, the 2018 Pro Mazda champion. He will move on to Indy Lights for 2019 and maybe taking his time, but Oliver Askew, he was right down about a car length. He's fallen now to 4 car lengths, maybe trying to regroup things for the final 10 laps of this race.
Yeah, potentially trying to cool the tires a little bit, just settling in. He's running the same lap times as Askew. I mean, our VK, they both ran a 108.2 last time by. In fact, faster than the leader. We'll see them continue to potentially find more speed near the end. But you know what I really like, Michael? How this weekend's kind of unfolded. Coming into this finale here at Portland, Arenas VK had won 5 straight races. He swept the weekend in Toronto, won both races of the doubleheader at Mid-Ohio, and then won on the oval at Gateway. Right now, as it's rolling, we're seeing a couple of the other guys getting a really good finish to kind of cap off the season with some positivity. You saw Oliver Askew win yesterday, his first victory. Now David Malukas is running out front, a 4.3 second lead right now. Unless there's some kind of a mechanical, he's probably going to run to the win unless we get a full course yellow. But here's a guy that will have won his 3rd race of the year as well. Parker Thompson winning 3, David Malukas winning 3, Harrison Scott winning 2. We've had a lot of race winners in this Pro Mazda category.
And for David Malukas yesterday, wasn't able to run down Arenas VK, so to make that pass and turn number 1 of lap number 1 and now be able to check out, give himself a very comfortable lead. A good capper to the 2018 season for David Malukas. If he can win today, again, as you said, the 3rd win of the season for him. As, boy, Oliver Askew loves to cut that left side of turn number 10 down as much as he can. You always see a little bit of that dust kick up as he exits turn number 12, again trying to run down Arenas VK. If he's going to do it, he has 9 laps to do so.
These ex-go-kart racers have no qualms in pounding over top of the curbs. They'll use all the curb they're allowed to. There's Parker Thompson running up over top of the gator strip on the inside of turn number 1. He is 2nd on the racetrack, 5th overall right now. Looking back, Robert McGinnis has been into the pits and back on. He's done 15 laps total, back on pit lane. Moises De Oliveira was able to get about 5 laps in total in. He's now parked the number 12, I believe. Stingray Robb lost a bunch of laps in the pits. He was able to get that right rear repaired. He's back on track again, seeing if he can't maybe do another 4 or 5 laps to try to get back into 6th position. It's been a good year for Stingray Robb. Probably wanted maybe a little bit more results, but he had 3 teammates at one point. It went down to 2. He's by himself here this weekend, and Parker Thompson will tell you, a single car team just struggle sometimes in these weekends when you don't get a lot of track time.
Yeah, if you get lost, it's hard to find your way back to center. If you go the wrong way, and it's just so hard when you have no one to bounce ideas off of, bounce a setup off of. If it's you and solely you could spend all day tweaking a car and never really hit the perfect setup that you need.
And that's amplified here at Portland, a track they've never been to before, so there's no baseline. They come in and say, well, we think it's going to be kind of like a Mid-Ohio, we think it's going to be kind of like this test track we've used before, so they put a setup on it. There's no experience, it's no track record saying this is good. If that baseline setup that they came up with was wrong, you're building off a wrong setup. You might be going in the wrong direction. When you have 2 or 3 cars, you can go 2-3 different directions in terms of setup.
You've seen that done so many times in so many of the various series. The more cars, usually the better. And I think you will see Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing as they went from a 1-car to a 2-car operation. The fruits of that, you're just now seeing that to the end of the season, but certainly I would imagine they'll come out of the gates very strong in 2019. So 8 laps remaining. We're working lap 23 of the 30-lapper here. Actually, 7 laps remaining. David Malukas is your leader. Rinus VeeKay, Oliver Askew, Nikita Listoshkin, Parker Thompson, who is on track running in that second position, currently a lap down, P5. Robert McGinnis back on pit lane. Stingray Robb 7th, and Moises de Oliveira, after that incident on lap 1, finds himself finishing 8th.
Here's what I think is a little bit interesting now. Remember, there's a huge gap between Parker Thompson, who runs second on the racetrack, but is actually 5th overall. He's a lap back. He was far enough away from Rinus VeeKay that Rinus, I don't think, was able to get any kind of, to draft at all, any kind of slipstream. He's closed up enough now that I think he may be benefiting a little bit from being behind Parker Thompson, getting a bit of a draft, at least some kind of slipstream as they work their way up the straight. We can see he's within about 4 or 5 car lengths now. He's closing. Parker Thompson's going to want to pull out of the way pretty soon. He doesn't want to hold up. Rinus VeeKay wants to stay out and do the class move. But again, I think Rinus may be benefiting a little bit by the fact he's getting close enough to Parker to use that slipstream.
Now we have the USF 2000 series. They still remain. 18 cars will make up that field. So certainly a lot of excitement remaining before we wrap up the return of the open wheel cars to the Pacific Northwest here at Portland International Raceway. Closing in on the last final handful of laps. 6 remaining this time by. As you see again, that battle for second, Rinus VeeKay and Oliver Askew.
Now here's the thing. We have a start for USF 2000. It's coming up. 18 drivers, anywhere from 15 to about 20 years of age. They haven't raced all day. They've been sitting around here all day. They came in a little later.
What are they doing right now, you think?
Probably Instagramming. Or, no, probably not. Probably Snapchat, right? They're a little younger than that, I think. Social media for sure.
Just something social media.
Fortnite.
Yes,
potentially
that's
Fortnite.
That's what I would have probably guessed more than anything else. A little Fortnite.
Hey, if they're smart, they're in the IndyCar paddock, or they're here with their Pro Mazda team. They're watching as much as they can, but it's a lot. You're asking a lot out of these kids. At least they got to sleep in.
My gosh, I can remember when I was their age. I was lucky to get out of bed before 3 in the afternoon.
Right?
So, yeah, good for them.
There you go. Mom coming in, flicking the light on and off, getting you out of bed. No doubt about it. But no, these kids up and ready to rock and roll. Again, David Malukas on top, 4.4 seconds the advantage. Rinus VeeKay and Oliver Askew had a pretty good battle going at one point here, but Rinus VeeKay's been able to leverage the slipstream, the draft of the driver in front of him. Parker Thompson 1 lap down after cutting a tire on the opening lap skirmish. He was going around the outside to try to take the lead into Festival Curve. Couldn't get the job quite done. Contact, and again, great move, classy move by Parker Thompson. He'll stay well to the outside, allowing both Rinus VeeKay and Oliver Askew to come through.
Yeah, that was the right thing to do, and Parker Thompson really had nothing to gain by staying out there and staying in front of Oliver Askew, so he will let those 2 competitors race to the finish, although Rinus VeeKay has all but checked out on Oliver Askew. Just about a 1-second advantage for Rinus VeeKay as he made his way. It was only 7/10, but he really gapped that a little bit more as they made their way through turn number 1.
You know, this could be the 3rd win of the year for David Malukas. Wasn't able to grab the victory in his opening season last year in USF 2000. Ran a partial schedule for BN Racing, a brand new team. They immediately expanded. They had 2 cars in USF 2000 at one point. They had 2 cars for Pro Mazda. I expect all 4 of those seats to be filled for the 2019 season, and that begs the question, does David Malukas make the run all the way to Indy Lights next year? I know they're focused on making him go forward. This is a championship kart racer here in the U.S. He won a championship over in France as well, a major event, the IND X30 International Final. That was a huge win for that young driver. He moves to USF 2000, right to Pro Mazda. If I was his manager, I'd say come back to Pro Mazda again. You can challenge for the championship, no doubt about it. Get the experience you need. But again, always that thought about trying to get up to the big show, trying to get to the Verizon IndyCar Series. I hope that David, even with the 3 wins this year, will consider coming back to run for the title.
We've seen a lot of drivers hustle their way up that Mazda Road to Indy ladder. Sometimes successful, but more often than not, they are not, and they needed that extra year. So, like you said, it would be great to see David Malukas hang around one more year, just garner that one more year of experience. It just gives you that little extra edge as you take the step up to the heavier, more horse-powered cars. And I think you really give yourself a better opportunity to be successful. And as you said, if you go into it confident and you're seeing success, it's a lot easier to stay positive instead of getting negative.
For me, I think the ideal approach to the whole road to Indy is 2 years in USF 2000. 2 years is essentially every level. You get to learn the car, you learn the racetracks, you learn the people. The next year you come back in USF 2000, your second year, that's when you're going for race wins, you're going for championships. You've felt everything. You make the move then to Pro Mazda, you do your initial learning year in Pro Mazda, then you come back the next year and win. And to be honest, you go 2 years in Indy Lights. If you think you're ready, you've been able to put together the sponsorship package, the backing, you got the investors, you got that team around you to move to the Verizon IndyCar Series, you do so. But I think that third year in Indy Lights is so valuable. We saw how good it was for Kyle Kaiser. Remember, his first couple of years, at least his first year coming into Indy Lights, qualified well. I remember him getting into the back of Jack Harvey at the start of the race in Indy Lights at Long Beach. Just overcooked it, just a minor mistake. And again, he was a rookie. His third year, we didn't see any of those mistakes. He was just flawless. He was consistent. When he couldn't win, he brought home a top 3, a top 5. And then he'd win a bunch of races. That was to watch that third year and the maturity and how he just got better in that final year. I'm a big proponent of running one more year at any level, third year, but of course at Indy Lights.
Well, last time by, Oliver Askew laid down the fastest lap of the race, minute 7:99.31. 5 hundredths quicker, well, 5 thousandths quick, 5 thousandths quicker, and he does it again. Oliver Askew, minute 7:92.93. That time, 5 hundredths quicker than Rinus VeeKay, but 5 thousandths the last time by.
He's taking chip away at it to another level.
Yes.
5 hundredths of a second, 6 thousandths of a second. But indeed, closing up only 6/10 of a second back, that's not much. You can get yourself to within maybe 2 car lengths. Then you can make that big dive bomb move if you want to down into turn number 1. We've seen that Rinus VeeKay, he's not worried about making a big defensive move to the inside. Of course, race officials will be watching closely for that second move. You can come out down the straightaway, you can elect to move to the inside of the racetrack, but you can't come back out to set up for the corner. If you're going to make that move to the inside, you're going to take that defensive line. That's the line that you have to go into the corner, and you're sacrificing the exit speed by having a more shallow entry.
Well, Rinus VeeKay holds that second position. Oliver Askew wants it. This time by, the white flag will come out. One more to go here for the final race of the 2018 Pro Mazda Championship presented by Cooper Tire. Can Oliver Askew get around Rinus VeeKay for second?
Not close enough to do it here in turn number 1, but Askew all over the gearbox now. Doesn't get a really good run out of turn number 2 through turn number 3. And Rinus VeeKay winning that championship yesterday, taking that burden off his shoulder. The championship in the books, tried to get the win here today, but no, David Malukas absolutely stellar. 4.3 seconds the advantage. Askew resets fast lap of the race again, 0.3 of a second quicker. He has it down to 0.3, but as they come through now, turn number 5 over to that's turn number 7 rather, down to the back straightaway. It's about a 4 or 5 car length advantage. Rinus VeeKay looks like he potentially has it locked, because they're not going to get it done down in turn number 12. You got to get him on the entry here to turn number 11. Askew, is he close enough? Oh, he is close. Going to jump all over the curb coming through. Askew right with him. But the driver coming onto the front straightaway. No challenge whatsoever. BN Racing. And David Malukas victorious in the final round of the season. He wins here at the Portland International Raceway. Double checkers being thrown by John Doonan from Mazda Motorsports. Thank you so much, John. What a fitting end to the Pro Mazda program here. And David Malukas, his third win of the year, 3.5 seconds the victory. He slows down coming across the line. A little salute to his team at start-finish. Rinus VeeKay capping off the season with another podium finish. Oliver Askew back on the podium as well, finishing in that third spot. Nikita Listoshkin will come home, I believe, in 4th. Parker Thompson 5th. Stingray Rob back out onto the racetrack, gets enough laps to leapfrog over Robert McGinnis. He'll take the 6th position.
We saw Kyle Kimball of Mazda with that checkered flag. Some sweet technique yesterday, but man alive, John Doonan did a heck of a job. I thought that was professional looking right there.
Twin checker. Look out,
Heck
Paul
yeah.
Plevin.
There you go. So congratulations to David Malukas. We will celebrate with him as we did with all the drivers this race weekend on the post-race stage right behind the media center at the end of the front straightaway, just past the IndyCar paddock. Our thanks to Rob Howden, the voice of this Pro Mazda series. One more race to cap off not only this weekend, but the Mazda Road to Indy. The USF 2000 cars are up next.
Tony Laporta will take over the victory circle to handle that. I'll head back out to pit lane to get things underway. We're just a little way away from firing things up for USF 2000. We'll give you the introduction of the 18 drivers, but of course, victory circle first. And as Michael said, we'll be back to cap off the 2018 Mazda Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. Tomorrow, our awards banquet, but one more race still to go.
Our thanks to Rob Howden, again, the voice of this Mazda Road to Indy program. Race fans, a reminder, Cooper Tires, the official tire.
Light the fires, one of our guests from Allied Building Products, Ryan Batta.
On behalf of everyone at Allied Building Products, drivers, start your Mazda engines.
And there you have it, folks, for the last time in the 2018 season, the call to fire. These USF 2000 drivers, you hear the exhaust note down here on pit lane. It's time to go racing. We'll send it back to the booth and Michael Young.
We thank you, Rob Howden. Excitement. Still one race remaining. 18 cars making up this very first Road to Indy ladder. The first rung. And Rasmuth Lint will bring the field down. Kalen Frederick again starts on the outside. A look at the number 41 of Braden Eves as he gets set to roll off this afternoon. Kyle Kirkwood has the opportunity to tie J.R. Hildebrand for all-time wins in a USF 2000 season. He will start on the inside of row number 3. The start of this race should be a good one. Field is away as they begin to make their way through the opening corners of this 12-turn circuit. Nearly 2 miles making up Portland International Raceway. Who will be victorious on the final race of the season? Kyle Kirkwood went on a streak, won the championship a few weeks back at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Came in knowing he would already be crowned the champion. Now the final task at hand, trying to tie J.R. Hildebrand for all-time wins in one season. Again, Kirkwood will keep our eyes on that number 8 racing entry. He will start on the inside of row number 2. With Rasmuth Lint, pole sitter, will bring the field down alongside Caleb Frederick. The field starts to work their way through turns 5 and 6, now making their way through turn number 7. The pace car will begin to pull away, and we will begin to form the field into rows of 2. 9 rows will make up this field for the Cooper Tires USF 2000, powered by Mazda Field. There you see the pace car pulling away, and the field will begin their formation. Well, they're going to have to get it done in a hurry if they want to get this race done. There you see they start to form the rows of 2. They make their way into turn number 10, the left-hander. And the right-hander of turn number 11. And here to make the call for the final race of this USF 2000 season. Race fans, we turn you over to the voice of this USF 2000 series, Rob Howden.
Michael Young, a pleasure to be here with you again. Always a pleasure to be able to share the PA booth with you. Getting set to go, Renus VK and Kalen Frederick on the front row, a couple of Pabst Racing teammates. You always want to win, but you also always want to beat your teammates. An inter-squad battle up front to get things underway. 3 Pabst Racing drivers in the top 4. They are side by side, set to go. Final race in USF 2000. Green, green, green. There's the flag being thrown. They're going to go all the way down to the inside of the racetrack. Drivers right against the wall. They're going to hold their position. Rasmuth Lint trying to hold on. Do we get cleanly through turn number 1? 3 wide further back. That's Igor Fraga trying to get through. One driver, Braden Eves, getting shuffled to the outside. One of the D-Force drivers, I think Jose Sierra, was the meat in that sandwich. Oh, big damage to the left rear. You can see that right there. Damage on the toe link of that left rear. Michael, we've seen that before. Another driver off as well. Looks like Braden Eves potentially off, damage over in turn number 1.
You saw that. Kyle Kirkwood not able to make up any spots. He will run in that 3rd position. The field making their way through turn number 6, now through turn number 7. A tad bit of a chaotic start, but the field cleanly through turn number 7.
I would expect that we'll see full course yellow, I think, to see have Braden on the inside of the racetrack there. We've actually got the AMR safety crew, I believe, already going, and indeed, full course yellow being thrown. Drivers getting a little over-aggressive coming through turn number 1. They tried to go 3 wide, and that's not going to work. It was Igor Fraga on the inside. It was then Jose Sierra in the middle, and I want to say likely Braden Eves on the outside. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see a replay on that.
Indeed. That was a good start, though, for Rasmuth Lint, Kalen Frederick, Kyle Kirkwood. They tiptoed their way through turn number 1, and as they did so, we saw a bunch of cars starting to get themselves jumbled towards the back of the field, and Braden Eves, unfortunately, who was starting in...
No, just saying, I feel bad for him.
Oh, yeah, so starting in the 6th position, and my goodness, to have it all go away so quickly for that young man, that's a tough finish to this weekend, and had such high hopes, came in, looked so very, very good, and hopefully we will see him, and he's out of that car, and he looks to be okay, but hopefully we'll see him next year. It's certainly a fantastic young racer.
He came in here, of course, making the debut. We get that occasionally in USF 2000, especially. Drivers will come in to test the waters over the last couple of races of the year. He was able to get a deal put together with Newman Walks Racing. Braden Eves having an absolutely fantastic test with the squad at Audubon Country Club over in Chicago. And came in here with a bunch of momentum. We saw him all weekend long, Michael. Top 5, top 7 in terms of speed. A great run yesterday as well, able to work his way midway through the top 10. I really hope we see Braden Eves here next year. He's a young American driver coming out of the karting ranks. He's been a race winner in F4, a race winner in F1600. He's got the pedigree. He has the talent. He's got a very focused demeanor as well. I really hope to see Braden back for the full program in 2019. He's a talent that I think could find himself on the top of the blocks in USF 2000.
We see we get an opportunity to see a replay of that start. I believe he was on the outside, and as everybody started shuffling around, he got kind of kicked out, and got himself some damage and ended his day very early. But you see, there's turn one where the car ended up probably the middle portion of turn number 2 if you had to draw a straight line from the wall out to turn number 2. So that contact made, he just made a left-hand turn and parked it.
We have one of the screens that we're looking at, we can see them working to get that car up off the ground. They got it on the hook. Here's a look at the replay here. Here's Rasmus Lint down to the inside, holding that inside spot. I like what he's doing. He's holding the inside, not coming back by. Everyone else, of course, starting to get aggressive to the outside. You're going to see as they work their way through. There's Lint coming through cleanly.
And you see Jose Sierra right in here.
Here's Jose over top of the curb. Jose's going to try to get the thing to rotate. It's going to go far out to the outside. Look at Fraga. Igor Fraga came to the inside, was inside the number 12 of Sierra, but looked like the car may have started to rotate a little bit.
Now, if you see it again, the 12, Sierra, Braden Eves was on the inside, and when Jose Sierra tried to go back left, he made contact with Braden Eves. That sent Jose Sierra up and over the curbing. If you can see it again, really, Braden Eves had nowhere to go. Jose Sierra made that contact as they came back down into turn number 1. If we re-spool that and see it again, you'll see those two making that contact. And once Braden Eves was hit by Jose Sierra, he just rolled that car down.
I think what you saw, and we'll see if we get a chance to see it again, you'll see Sierra coming in. He's really shallow on end. He's obviously trying to push as hard as he can to get in there. We'll see Sierra coming in, and the car just pushes to the outside. And Braden Eves on the outside really with nowhere to go. When the guy on the inside's got a different line like that, you can see Fraga trying to make a move to the inside. He's trying to cut to the inside as well, try to get around that corner because he can see that Sierra's going to overshoot it.
There's Sierra. Just entered your picture on the left side, and you'll see Braden Eves on the right side, the orange 41. So Eves starts to make that right-hand turn.
Look at Sierra.
And Sierra's already...
He's not making the corner.
Yeah, nope.
Doesn't matter what happens there. Sierra's going over top of the curbing. There's no chance for him to make the corner. He's pointed right at it. And, of course, Braden Eves around the outside trying to make the move to get back in. As we look at the replay, you could see these light USF 2000 cars absolutely beat up going over those really aggressive curbs. And here's a shot from the back.
Yeah, like you said, Igor Fraga hits Sierra. Sierra then shoots into Braden Eves.
Well, if Fraga's trying to get to the inside, right. He does. He gets to the inside. They're almost side by side. His car starts to break loose a little bit, potentially some contact there. But there's no way Sierra makes that corner. He is committed that deep on that angle. He's going over top. We're going to go green this time by, but Sierra just was going straight through, and Braden Eves, no choice. He had the car woed up. He was, I think, going to be able to make the corner, but you're not going to do that with the driver on the inside is shooting in like he is. So, back to green. Rasmus Lint is your leader. His teammate, Kalen Frederick, right there, and away we go. This is always a tough place to defend. He'll go to the bottom of the racetrack. Frederick right there as well. Kirkwood's going to go to the outside to see if he can get a run. Oh, contact there. Kirkwood's got to get out of it. The two teammates together again. Rasmus Lint. I always say Rasmus Lint gets together with Kalen Frederick. It looked to me, Michael, like Frederick just got into the back of Rasmus and got him sideways.
Yeah, Kyle Kirkwood got a nice run on the outside, was able to get around Kalen Frederick, and then Frederick tried to woe himself up and got into the rear end of Rasmus Lint.
And Kalen Frederick just trying to go deep into the corner, gets into the back of his teammate Rasmus Lint. We'll see whether or not race control wants to make a call on that because there's definite contact at the back of the corner. You can see Rasmus' car kind of rotated counterclockwise. He wasn't making the corner. They both tried to cut and go through. It looked to me like I think Frederick might have been able to get back out in front, or was that Cole that was able to get by?
They both cut through so quickly. They put down the barricades. There you see Kyle Kirkwood, and then further back you see the 12 or 22 of Lucas Cole. So let's see how they shuffle through. They went quickly through our screen.
Hard to see the numbers. They come through. Drive-through penalty for Kalen Frederick at the number 24. He'll serve that immediately and try to get back on the racetrack. That's a good call. Contact coming down to the corner. They'll give him a drive-through. But look at this battle further back. That's the driver of the Team Pelfrey car. Have side by side. Oh, it's tough to go through there. What a move. That's Igor Fraga going around the outside of Julian Vanderwatt. What a pass for Fraga, and give it up for Vanderwatt to give him enough room to go 2x2 through there. Wow!
And a tough day for Vanderwatt yesterday, so for him to give it up. Here's a replay of the restart, and there you see Kyle Kirkwood on the outside.
He wants nothing of it.
Right, Rasmus Lint, and just gets turned by his teammate Kalen Frederick.
Frederick overcooking into the braking zone. Rasmus Lint gets on the brakes, hammered from the back, and he ends up going sideways. All of them having to take the cutoff to get through. Kyle Kirkwood had pulled well to the left. I want none of what you guys are doing right now. He just wasn't able to come back across. Again, it looks like Rasmussen Lindt's still out front. I don't know how he can get the lead having not made the corner.
He went extremely fast through the runoff area, and unless he gets penalized, I don't know how they will officiate that.
It doesn't make sense to me. If you don't make the corner, I think you have to be able to go back a couple spots. We'll see what race control says, but Rasmussen Lindt, now your leader, coming across the line.
Igor Fraga and Julian Vanderwatt going at it again down into turn number 1. Fraga down low, Julian Vanderwatt on the outside.
Look at Vanderwatt keeping Fraga pinched to the bottom. Oh, Fraga's got to get the car to rotate. He'll get up over the curbing at turn number 2. Fraga all up on the wheel in the number 91 exclusive Autosports USF 17. He's pushing hard. They're stacking up almost 2x2 coming through turn number 4 and 5.
Igor Fraga and Julian Vanderwatt. That is the battle for the 4th position, making their way through turn number 5, now through turn number 6. One car length separates 4th and 5th.
Corey Enders in the D-Force number 11, the blue and white car, was side-by-side with Dakota Dickerson through there as well. We're going to get another tremendous battle. The first race, remember, Mike, yesterday was, 10th, 11th, 12th, back to 15th. Now we're seeing the fight from 4th back to 10th.
Indeed. Rasmussen Lindt, Kyle Kirkwood, Lucas Cole, they have checked out from this battle. Igor Fraga and Julian Vanderwatt, and there we see Kalen Frederick damage to that front wing, and very, very unsurprising, I guess I should say, because he pile-drived into Rasmussen Lindt. So the battle coming now off of turn number 12. Again, that battle for that 4th position. Fraga has it. Julian Vanderwatt wants it. They streak down the front straightaway.
I love this. This is exclusive Autosports. Team Pelfrey, Pabst Racing. Here goes Vanderwatt to the inside. No. Thinks better of it. Fraga getting that car to rotate again. Look at Vanderwatt. Really nice line coming through there. Able to get a good scoot out of 1, able to get a really good rotation out of turn number 2. Vanderwatt putting a ton of pressure on the Brazilian Igor Fraga.
And now Calvin Ming starting to get into that battle as well. Here it comes into your screen right there as we now move to the leaders, Lindt and Kirkwood. That battle about a 3-car length disadvantage for Kyle Kirkwood over leader Rasmussen Lindt. 3rd place Lucas Cole. Now that battle for that 4th position is Igor Fraga and Julian Vanderwatt. Calvin Ming right there as well, trying to get on the rear wing of Julian Vanderwatt. Here they come as we wait for them to come through turn number 10. Those are our 3 leaders, and that big battle right behind them.
Is that Kyle Kirkwood? Is he by? I think Kyle Kirkwood's by to the lead. So put Kirkwood, your newly crowned champion, in the lead, but almost into the wall coming out of the corner. He got way wide coming out of turn number 12, dropped a wheel. You see that car just shot to the left. Kirkwood, how did he keep it out of the wall? He had to pedal it coming down to 1, but look further back again. Look at this battle again. That is Igor Fraga down to the wall to driver's right, all the way into turn number 1. We don't have the on-screen now, but this is aggressive racing, and they are running defensive lines, I believe. Julian Vanderwatt through to take over P4.
We will see that come in as we see that battle for the lead, about a car length disadvantage. Once again, we go to that 4th place battle. Indeed, Julian Vanderwatt able to get around Igor Fraga. The battle of 4th. If we hold this camera shot a second, there you see Julian Vanderwatt now checking out about 3 car lengths over Fraga, and Calvin Ming right behind them.
Race fans, in the Verizon IndyCar Series and Indy Lights, we have push to pass. We don't have it in Pro Mazda. We do not have it in USF 2000. This is all about the driver getting through the final couple of corners, 10, 11, and 12 better. You have to be good there if you want to make a pass in turn number 1. It's got nothing to do with the speed in the straightaway. It's how good you're able to come through 10, 11, and 12.
What a great battle throughout this field. The battle for the lead. Kyle Kirkwood able to make that pass, turn 5 area to get around Rasmussen Lindt. And now Julian Vanderwatt around Igor Fraga. The next victim, if you will, for Igor Fraga, where the next attacker should be that Calvin Ming car.
You see the number 91 of Fraga getting that thing back on the throttle, coming out of turn number 12. A big jink in the front of that car. He had to get a handful in it. And here comes Kalen Frederick right out in front of the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Fraga locks the brakes up. Igor Fraga, I think, locked up the brakes. He's okay, though, still. He's got Calvin Ming on it, but he locked up the right front, I think, coming in to turn number 1.
Well, that's an interesting place to send out a lapped car right in front of the big battle for 4th place right there. So Kalen Frederick best do himself a favor and stay out of the way as these cars battle right behind him. They change the front wing, send him right out. Kalen Frederick 3 laps down at the moment, but he's in front of that battle for that 4th position with Julian Vanderwatt, Igor Fraga, and Calvin Ming.
Again, 3 laps down for Kalen Frederick. We'll see what this does to the championship battle. Looking at the points, Frederick, 171 points. Trying to look to see where everybody's going to kind of finish up here. Igor Fraga, where he runs now, would move his way into that 3rd spot in the championship points. He was in a battle with Rasmuth Lint. Rasmuth ahead by 7 points yesterday. Fraga had a great run yesterday. Finished 2nd on the racetrack, but ended up getting a 30-second penalty for avoidable contact at the start of the race. Not getting that drive-through penalty like we saw here today with Caleb Frederick. They had to review it later and then gave the 30-second penalty. Again, drivers working their way down. You can see now Julian Vanderwaals closed right up to Caleb Frederick. Let's see if Caleb does the same thing that Parker Thompson did in Pro Mazda, make that class move and get out of the way. Let everybody come through, because there's no need to stay in front of the drivers when you're 3 laps down.
Yeah, and that's one of those situations. Once Kalen Frederick gets out of the way, he'll get freight trained by most of the field. Just a tough place to come back out onto the track after replacing that front wing after that drive-through. Kalen Frederick, again, 3 laps down to the rest of the field, and he sits out in front of that battle for that 4th position. It's Julian Vanderwatt, Igor Fraga, Calvin Ming, Dakota Dickerson. That's how they exit turn number 7. The car in front of that battle is the lap car of Kalen Frederick.
9 laps down, still 16 laps remaining, not quite to the halfway point yet. Let's give you a full field rundown. Kyle Kirkwood is your leader in the number 8, trying to get what would be a record-tying 12th victory. He would tie former Verizon IndyCar driver J.R. Hildebrand for 12 wins, the record here in the USF 2000 program. Rasmuth Lint runs in 2nd, Lucas Cole in 3rd, Julian Vanderwatt in that yellow and black Team Pelfrey car in the 4th spot. Fraga definitely going on the defense again. We can't see it here, but I think he's on the defense for Calvin Ming. Indeed, they're going to work their way down. Ming's going to go to the outside. Fraga's going to hold on to the inside. He'll beat him into the corner, but Ming's going to get a better run through. Fraga has Calvin Ming pushing it unbelievably hard. Being told race control, telling the 24 of Kalen Frederick to move to the tail of the field. Get out of the way, move to the tail of the field. They're already on the radio, and you know, Michael, they'll only do that a couple of times before they'll bring the black flag out.
We're going to need to watch that battle back again. I think Corey Enders and Colin Kaminsky went with each other and started a little battle back there. That I think Colin Kaminsky might have got around Corey Enders down in turn number 1. There were 2 or 3 side-by-side battles down into turn number 1 further back in the field.
Yeah, so much for trying to give a full field rundown in the middle of battles like this. Kirkwood, Lint, Cole, Vanderwatt, and Fraga your top 5. Ming challenging in the 6th spot. Dickerson now up to 7th. Enders 8th. Kaminsky 9th. Dupel in the 10th spot. I'm trying to get it done before they get back around, Michael. Russell McDonough on 11th. Bruno Tomaselli 13th. Max Peichel actually 13th. Oscar De La Zuriaga now in 14th. Kellen Ritter 15th. Kalen Frederick still 16th. Jose Sierra and Braden Eves both done. Here they come. Again, down the front straightaway. Got it done.
We'll fix that running order as soon as it go by. And hats off to Kalen Frederick. I believe he pulled over down that back straightaway and let all those battles commence. So it's Kirkwood, Lint, Cole, Vanderwatt, Fraga, Calvin Ming, Dickerson. Indeed, Colin Kaminsky got around Corey Enders. Russ McDonough now to the 10th position. He gets around Kyle Dupel, Bruno Tomaselli, Max Peichel, De La Zuriaga, and Ritter round out the 15. Kalen Frederick, as we said, laps down.
Being told as well, a drive-through penalty for avoidable contact of the 38 of De La Zuriaga. He's pushing hard, a little bit of contact out there. Oscar will have to bring the Newman Watts racing machine down pit lane. It's been a tough day for Newman Watts Racing, but they did have a good weekend. Braden Eves showing very well in race number 1. Again, working our way, what are we, 11? We'll finish lap number 12, 13 laps to go, very close to essentially the halfway point, this 25-lap contest. The final race, Michael, of the 2018 Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship powered by Mazda. No title on the line right now. Kyle Kirkwood got that done at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course back in early August.
What an impressive season that young driver has had as he will move up to the Pro Mazda Series for 2018. Further back, let's watch Igor Fraga and Calvin Ming. Looks like that battle's starting to heat up again. The gap between Fraga and Ming 4/10 of a second as they make their way down into turn number 1.
Yeah, a little bit more room this time for Fraga, a little breathing room, 4/10 of a second, equating to probably, I want to say, about 3 or 4 car lengths. Here's the pass coming down in here. This is the 27 of Colin Kaminsky going, I believe, to the inside of Corey Enders. Yep. You can see them behind Fraga, Ming, and Dickerson.
It's a good move.
Yeah, and Enders was going to give him room to the outside. It was a good, aggressive move. They'll work their way back to turn number 2. You can see, you'll watch Enders probably try to use a bit of the curb getting around. No, nice job. Yep. Colin Kaminsky in the D-Force Slick Box sponsor number 27. Inside, outside, that's a solid move in turn number 1.
Let's say that sponsored 3 times fast. Relatively
Once
impressive.
is fine with me. Okay. Slick locks.
There you go. 13 laps remaining. The final race of the season, and Kyle Kirkwood heads out the front straightaway. There you see him. He has a 1.2 second lead over Rasmussen Lint. Let's see how he fares this time by. It was 1.2, and this time it's the exact same. As a matter of fact, Rasmussen Lint closes in ever so slightly. Lucas Cole back about 5 more seconds than Julian Vanderwatt. We'll keep our eye on this Igor Fraga, Calvin Ming battle. Last time, a couple tenths of a second. Indeed, 7/10 of a second. That's a good battle for 5th and 6th.
Here's something to watch as well. Both the leaders turning 112.2s. In fact, Lint 100ths of a second faster. But Julian Vanderwatt is closing on Lucas Cole. He's 3.9 seconds back, and that's a lot. There's no doubt about it. But he was 0.6 of a second faster last time by. We got 12 laps still. There's an opportunity for Julian Vanderwatt to reel in Lucas Cole to potentially get on the podium here in the final race of the year.
A nice little battle shaping up a little bit further back. I think that's a battle between Corey Enders and Colin Kaminsky. If we could hang in this shot right now and wait another second into turn number 7, those 2 cars, really nice little battle shaping up in there. I do believe that's Enders and Kaminsky making their way out of turn number 7.
I like the battles throughout the entire field now. We see a couple of them. Kyle Dupel's got Russell McDonough and Bruno Tomaselli within about a second of him as well. That's going to be a fight for 10th, 11th, and 12th. That's for that final spot in the top 10. Kyle Dupel trying to put one in here on his home track and racing out of Salem, Oregon for Team Pelfrey. Here's the fight here. Colin Kaminsky trying to go to work on Corey Enders again. They got the one pass. Corey able to get it back. Here they come. Drag racing down that front straightaway into Festival Curve. Here comes Kaminsky. Back to the inside. No. Thinks better of it. Up over the curbing goes Enders. I like this battle. A couple of teammates, though. They don't have the same livery. Teammates at D-Force Racing. You always wonder, what's the mindset? Do you make the move as a teammate, or do you just not want to have that conflict when you get back to the trailer and have to debrief?
Well, we saw that a week ago at Gateway Motorsports Park in the Indy Lights series with Bilardi Racing, the 2 teammates going at it, and they were trading laps of the lead and back and forth, and actually it wasn't the Bilardi, it was the Andretti guys.
Bilardi
first, and then the Andretti guys.
Brian Bilardi was sweating it out, and Santi Arruti and Aaron Teals were side by side for 5 or 6 laps. Then it transitioned, of course.
Ryan Norman and
Colton Herta. What a battle that was, though. Tremendous fight. Ryan Norman, kind of a mindset shift right there. It's like they flicked that switch. If I'm going to win races now, I'm not just going to try to go for podiums. I want to beat my teammate. He was the driver that went out on the top groove, up in the second groove at Gateway, and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to try it up here. And, man, what an exciting race that was.
We'll see Colin Kaminsky maybe sneak to the inside as Corey Enders, his teammates, right in front of him. They just crossed the start-finish line, and here he goes. Can Colin Kaminsky get around teammate Corey Enders?
Great battle coming down in the air. Oh, and he does it. He's through. Book it. Great pass there for Colin Kaminsky. Look at that fight further back. That's Russell McDonough going at it with, I think it's Bruno Tomaselli.
I think it's Kyle Dupel.
Well, I think it was actually Bruno Tomaselli. Kyle's got about 0.8 of a second advantage. That was Bruno Tomaselli. There's a couple of yellow Team Pelfrey cars in there. Wow, that was a side-by-side, back-and-forth battle here between Tomaselli, the young lady out of Brazil, the number 82, and Russell McDonough from that racing capital of open wheel, Little Rock, Arkansas. So
that's where all the teams want to be.
It's a hot spot. Great to have Russell with us here. Indeed. His first year in the series.
That's a nice battle. Yeah, Bruno Tomaselli doing a good job trying to get on the rear wing of Russell McDonough. That's that battle we watch right there. That's the battle further back in the field for 11th. But a nice run for Bruno Tomaselli thus far.
You know, I had a chance to talk to Rasmus Lint on pit lane during the IndyCar race. He kind of rolled by, and I stopped very quickly to chat with him and just to congratulate him on an amazing year. 16 years old when he started. Now he's turned 17. Top driver in the international karting ranks. But I asked him, I said, are you going to return as we watch this great battle here between Russell McDonough and Bruno Tomaselli? I said, are you going to come back next year? Are we going to see you back in the program? And he says, that's what I'm trying to do. He's not going to move to Pro Mazda. And I said, listen, you are an instant title contender for next year. He was not able to score a victory as of yet. Race is not over. 9 to go. Has not yet been able to score a win here in USF 2000 in his freshman season. But you know, Michael, he's going to have that offseason. Everything's going to settle in. This kid's going to come back as an absolute bear. He's been running up front from Road America on. He's been that good.
It's been a great race thus far. 18 cars. We've only lost 2 thus far, but battles throughout this field. Currently watching that battle for 11th. McDonough exits the turn. Bruna Tomaselli and that Team Pelfrey car right behind, closing down to about 2 car lengths. Again, battle further back in the field, but there are great battles all throughout this field thus far.
I like the fight up front. Kirkwood and Lint watching these lap times, and for the first time, Kyle Kirkwood actually starting to stretch away in terms of lap time. He goes to a 1:12.0, Lint back to a 1:12.3. Kirkwood has stretched his lead to 1.7 seconds, but here comes McDonough and Tomaselli again. Tomaselli will put that yellow Team Pelfrey car right up under the rear wing. McDonough's going to come to the inside of the racetrack again. You can't pull back out to the outside. There goes Tomaselli. She's going to try to get a better run through. Oh no, she overcooks it. She comes to the outside. Tomaselli overcooks it, and here comes Max Peichel in the Arms Up Motorsports number 14. She did exactly the right thing. Go to the outside, get a better run through, and just overcooked it and couldn't get it wound up. Couldn't get the thing turned into the apex.
Well, I will say, or give her the benefit of the doubt, potentially dirty track out there. As soon as she got out there and maybe tried to woe it up or just flat out missed that entrance to the turn.
I'm thinking she's like, I've got to. This is my chance. I got to make a good run here, and probably just gotten in a little bit too deep. And of course, no marker there. You're trying. You're watching your driver on the inside, and all it takes. We talked to a lot of the guys up and down the entire grid. I don't care if it's IndyCar, USF 2000, Michael, and they've told us that if you miss an apex here by just a little in that corner and you're that far out, you're in trouble. So she was able to woe it up nicely and get it back to the apex of turn number 2. Didn't have to take the runoff. Tomaselli in that 12th position. Let's see if she can get back up there, though. She's got the speed. Let's see if she can close back up on Russell McDonough.
Well, not a lot of tight battles anywhere through the field. Maybe that Kaminsky-Enders battle. That's, again, the battle for 8th position. Colin Kaminsky has it. Corey Enders wants it. A half a second separate the 8th place running Kaminsky and the 9th place running Corey Enders. We'll see if we can find that battle in the field for you. Should be right about into turn number 8 right now as we have a car pulling off the exit of pit lane.
That's Tomaselli. I'm not sure what's going on. The 82 of Bruna Tomaselli actually stopping the car. She came down the front straight. Max Peichel had got by. She's getting out of the car. Over the other side, just at the very end of the pit wall, she pulled the driver's right, got out of the yellow machine, and that's it for Bruna Tomaselli. She's going to fall to the tail of the order. She'll end up likely in the 16th place in the official classifications. Tough one for her. She had a really good run trying to battle it out, of course, with Russell McDonough for that 11th position.
Well, entering turn number 10 right now, that's that battle for 8th position. If we can shoot to that battle with Corey Enders and Colin Kaminsky. Again, Colin Kaminsky running in that 8th position. Corey Enders running in the 9th position. There's the battle further up into the field. That's Julian Vanderwaard and Lucas Cole in front of him.
I told you he was closing up.
Yeah,
Lucas Cole is getting eaten up here right now by Julian Vanderwaard. 0.6 of a second again. Vanderwaard quicker. There's going to be a battle for 3rd before we're done. 6 laps remaining.
Let's stay on this shot as we look further back in the field. That battle for 8th position. Well, we've switched battle. Let's move back to the 3rd.
That's the fight, though. That's Lucas Cole battling it out.
2 car lengths.
Yeah, that's Cole and Vanderwaart right there is Igor Fraga. He's alone on the racetrack. That battle he had with Calvin Mings kind of dissipated now. Fraga with about a 1.5 seconds on the past racing driver, so Fraga holding on to 5th. If he finishes there, he'll be 3rd in the points, only 6 points behind Rasmus Lint potentially for the 2nd position overall. Final race in USF 2000, of course, just the remaining positions, Michael in the top 5 behind champion Kyle Kirkwood.
Well, let's go back to that 3rd place battle since you did say that. It's Lucas Cole and Julian Vanderwaart. They head down into turn number 10, back to that 8th place battle. But down that front straightaway is the battle for 3rd and 4th position. Let's go to turn number 1 and see if we can't see that battle. There they come, racing down into turn number 1.
Yeah, let's go down to the bottom of the racetrack again. Look at Lucas Cole. Here is his. What a great run. Look at this. Inside out for Julian Vanderwaart. He is all over Lucas Cole right now. Had a much better line coming through. Does he get a run coming over here to turn number 4? Does he look to the inside? No. Again, it's going to be a defensive line to the inside for Lucas Cole. I got to think it's only a matter of time before we get a pass here for Julian Vanderwaart as he is putting a ton of pressure. You can see he is inside out everywhere here on Lucas Cole. When you run that inside line, that defensive line, you can't get that good run out of the corner. Here it goes to the inside of turn number 7. Side by side, book it. Great pass. Vanderwatt in turn number 7. He'll go to P3.
Boy, Julian drove that car in deep, able to get around Lucas Cole, and now able to check out a couple of car lengths. Just simply outbroke Lucas Cole. Now Cole starts to look back to the inside, down into turn number 10. Lucas Cole trailing Julian Vanderwatt for the 3rd position. They will exit turn number 12. 1 car length separates Julian Vanderwatt in 4th place, running Lucas Cole.
And hello, Igor Fraga. Fraga in the number 91 exclusive auto sports machine closing up. He's already got 3rd place and the points locked up, but if he can move a couple spots forward, he may be able to get 3rd away from Rasmus Lind. They'll work their way into the first corner. Powering over the curbing there, turn 1. Fraga closing up. 3-driver battle with just 4 laps remaining. Final race of USF 2000. The first 2 rungs of the podium looked like Kyle Kirkwood and Rasmus Lind, but Fraga, Cole, and Vanderwatt trying to put an exclamation point on this Grand Prix of Portland.
Well, Julian Vanderwatt had a great turn 12, and then the 1 through 4 complexes. Now he has about a 6-car length advantage over Lucas Cole, but that's allowed Igor Fraga to close back in through turn number 7. That's where Vanderwatt got around Lucas Cole last time. Igor Fraga with a nice run out of turn number 7, about a 3-car length advantage for Lucas Cole over Fraga for 4th.
Going back to that pass in turn number 7 for Julian Vanderwatt, I think that's the first pass we've seen in all 3 Road to Indy events in that turn number 7. They talked about the fact that when you come out of 6, you go way to driver's left, wide, to try to set up for the corner. Well, if a driver's there and you're going to make the aggressive move, you can go down the inside. And indeed, he was able to do it. Here comes Fraga now, though. Does he get a good run out of turn number 12? Is it enough to try to make a move here on Lucas Cole? You know, Cole looking in the mirrors to see if Fraga's going to try him. It may not be this lap, but I'll tell you, Igor Fraga, the exclusive Autosports number 91, the Brazilian, looks ready to pounce.
3 laps remaining in the final race, not only of the weekend, but the season for the USF 2000 drivers. We're watching that battle for the 4th position. Lucas Cole with a 2-car length advantage over Igor Fraga. Fraga very aggressive now, working his way through turn number 6 as they get set to enter turn number 7. Last time by, he was able to close it down to a 2-car lengths, down to about a car length now as they exit turn number 7.
Yeah, you're wondering if Fraga saw what Julian Vanderwatt did in turn 7. But you know what? I can do that. I'll see you that, and I'll raise you. So that's definitely an opportunity for Igor Fraga. But first and foremost, he's going to try to get a good run down the back straightaway here. Really try to roll some speed through that 10-11 chicane, then get the car to really start to rotate on the brakes, back on the throttle. Here they come again through it. He's right there, coming through turn number 12. You got to get back on the throttle, roll into it quickly. Car looks good coming onto the straightaway. Fraga within a length. They'll work their way down this long drag strip into the festival curves here at the Portland International Raceway. 2 laps to go this time by. Fraga, not quite close enough, but does he duck to the inside? No. Lucas Cole trying to drive his absolute best laps of the season to see if he can't hold off a hard-charging Igor Fraga.
So 2 laps remaining. That battle still commencing with Kaminsky and Enders down to 0.7 of a second. But the best battle of the field right now is that battle for 4th position. Lucas Cole, Igor Fraga. You see Julian Vanderwatt in that yellow Team Pelfrey car on your video screens. And now Igor Fraga and Lucas Cole exit turn number 7. That time, boy, Fraga got a nice run on Cole again.
Fraga did not get through turn 6 very well. It seemed like he lost him to the ground, but a great run through turn number 7. You can see he had a lot more forward momentum, and he has closed right up to within a car length coming to turn number 11. Are we going to see a pass to the inside of turn 10? No. Fraga right there off the gearbox, though. He's going to roll the speed through. You see the ball up and over the curb. Fraga has not been this close since the last time he tried to make a pass. Here we go. It's about coming out onto the front straight. Fraga right on the gearbox. Cole's going to go to the bottom of the track. Fraga's going to stick with him. He wants that draft. Wait for Fraga to pop out. Here we go. Cole tried to come back across the racetrack a little bit. Side by side in the braking zone. Fraga's got him. Fraga to P4. Cole came back across the track a little bit. Fraga was already there. That could have been absolute chaos, but Igor Fraga gets the job done. That was one of the best passes I've seen this weekend.
He just commanded that pass down into turn number 1. A brilliant move by Igor Fraga over Lucas Cole. White flag is out the final lap of the race, and Kyle Kirkwood with a 2-lap advantage over Rasmussen Lindh as we wrap up the final race of 2018 for the USF 2000 Series, and Kyle Kirkwood looks to tie J.R. Hildebrand for all-time wins.
Kirkwood out of the final corner, ladies and gentlemen. The Kate Motorsports driver, tremendous this year, already wins the championship. Kyle Kirkwood and Kate Motorsports, a record-tying 12 wins as he scores the victory here at Portland International Raceway, the season finale of the USF 2000 program. 12 wins, ties the record set by J.R. Hildebrand. Kyle Kirkwood, again, as we've said a number of times here this weekend, putting the exclamation point on an absolutely tremendous season. His first year here in the Mazda Road to Indy, the former F4 champion, moving to USF 2000 to get that dream of going to the Verizon IndyCar Series. You know, Michael, we've watched him all year long. What a run for Kyle Kirkwood. We'll talk more about him in a second. Rasmussen Lindh ends up in third. What a run for Julian Vanderwatt. The best race we've seen him drive this year. He's going to be on the podium in third as we've got 3 different teams, Cave Motorsports, Pabst Racing, and Team Pelfrey on the podium. Look at Exclusive Autosport in fourth. 4 teams in the top 4. Igor Fraga, tremendous battle with Lucas Cole.
Yeah, Lucas Cole did a great job, but Igor Fraga just did a number on him down into turn number 1 and almost willed himself around Lucas Cole. It could have been disaster, but great driving by all these young drivers. The first rung of the Mazda Road to Indy program. Kyle Kirkwood, your winner. Rasmussen Lindh comes home second. Julian Vanderwatt with a great drive finishes third. Then Igor Fraga, Lucas Cole, your top 5. Rob, run us down through the final 10.
Calvin Ming, a good run in the number 21. He ends up in the 6th spot. Dakota Dickerson advancing forward. Started in the 11th, ends up in 7th position. Colin Kaminsky, we saw him put some really good moves on out there in the 27. He ends up at 8th, finally winning over that race-long battle with his teammate Corey Enders, and the driver from Portland, Oregon, living in Salem, Kyle Dupel for Team Pelfrey, puts 2 Team Pelfrey cars in the top 10, the number 81, finishing in that 10th position. Looking at the points, 440, the total for Kyle Kirkwood, blowing away the competition with 12 wins, but that fight for second spot, now this, of course, all unofficial. There could always be some race control penalties later on in the day. 236 points for Rasmussen Lindh, 232 points for Igor Fraga. 4-point difference between those 2 drivers, second and third overall in the championship.
Going through the rest of the field, as you see on your video screen, Russell McDonough coming home 11th, Max Peichel 12th, Kellen Ritter finishes 13th, Oscar De Luzuriaga finishing 14th, Kalen Frederick, after his issues on the opening lap, will come home 15th, though did a very nice move by allowing the rest of the field by as he came back laps down. Bruna Tomaselli at the very end of the race, she had problems, pulled off at the exit of pit lane into turn number 1. She'll finish 16th. Jose Sierra and Braden Eves, involved in that contact on the opening lap, will finish 17th and 18th respectively.
Can I congratulate you? The Luzuriaga. That was impressive. You nailed that.
And it's the end of the season. Drop the mic. Well, it's going to be time to do a little celebrating, not only with our top 3 finishers, but with you great race fans as well. If you can join us at the victory podium for our celebration, Rob Howden, it's been a pleasure. You got it. A fantastic 2018. And thanks to all you great race fans again. We will have our victory podium celebration coming up next. Race day for the Grand Prix of Portland.
93 longer days, 93 warmer nights. Summer is here. 134,000 minutes of windows down and music up. 8 million seconds to feel summer on.
Make the most of it in a new BMW. During the BMW Summer On Sales event, receive a credit of up to $3,000 on select models.